dedicated a figure of an eagle to his god. A pedestal probably supported his figure, which has been lost. A dedication of this kind was normal, seeing that the eagle also played a special role in the cult of the dogma of Sol Invictus. Now, I just found it interesting that that's affiliated with colleges, and we have an eagle, again, which is something very prominent in American culture, especially. And we see, again, colleges connecting with the caps that we wear. University graduate wears the black robe, the god Saturn, and the mortar board of the Freemasonry. Both very...
Aloha and welcome back to the show, guys. Today we have a truly special guest, Brandon Kroll, the founder of Krollology, a unique exploration into the symbolism and hidden framework that influences our world today. From the significant number of 33 in the cult symbolism to the impact of Saturn worship on modern institutions, Brandon brings a deep, intriguing perspective on how these elements weave through various aspects of our society today. Please don't forget to hit that 5-star rating, and without further ado, let's dive into this special and wonderful episode with Brandon. And I highly recommend that you watch this show either through Spotify, YouTube, because we will be showing you visuals of symbolism throughout the show. So, without further ado, now let's welcome Brandon to the show. It's been really intriguing going deep into your work that you've been doing. I listened to you on Cult of Conspiracy. Those guys are so hilarious.
Yeah.
So I heard you on that, and it
ended up becoming more of a discussion. But again, as I said, if anybody ever has a discussion, we can stop where we are. Who cares how long it goes, you know? Because I'd rather fix the host and any audience members listening. I'd rather fix where there might be an error, or give clarity where they could dig a little bit further, and then they would see some stuff.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, it's been so cool listening to you and your conversations that you've been having with this deep dive into the alternative histories and hidden symbols that shape our world. So what initially sparked your interest in these less explored narratives?
Honestly, because I've always been a big history buff, and I've also been kind of big into conspiracies just in general. And then it was basically, I was at a school in Florida, and I was kind of sitting there, and I'm like, I feel like I know more than the teacher. And that's kind of sad, because they're teaching, but I'm like, give me some more. Like, what's some alternative stuff? What's trivia I didn't know before? Eventually, I left that school due to a poor GPA, if you can believe that. And I came to a community college, and the professor there got really big into reading literature, but not just like reading it for the sake of reading it. Like, what's between the lines? What's something that's mentioned, but we're not actually digging into? What's it mean for context and culture? And that kind of got me a little bit into there's always a story between the story. And as a writer, that's something that I really like doing, is pulling on those metaphors and symbolism to help something become very potent. So when I write my short stories or I write lyrics, I like writing in the riddles. I like writing in the, oh, I see what you did there. It was a little bit of a nod that goes full circle, that goes right back to the beginning. And then after that, I stumbled onto the works of Michael Heiser, and his stuff got me into the Nephilim aspect of things. And where my stuff comes into play, there's Gary and then there's Heiser, and I'm like right in between. I'm cementing the stuff where like Heiser will deny that Jesus and Christ and God are two different and distinct individuals, and he says Christmas is okay, and I'm like, no. And Wayne, I think he's not off, but I'm filling in the blank of where the Unholy Trinity of Babel came into play and what the occult's main religion is based off their symbolism. That's kind of where my little niche is, right in the middle of those two great titans.
That's awesome. Yeah, I talked to Gary twice, and I'm actually going to be talking to him again soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's really great too.
His mind is phenomenal. I had an interview with him, and I was like, this guy, wow, wow.
I know. And he can just spit things out. I don't even know how he does it. I don't know how he remembers everything, but he does. He really does. So, but you're right there on the road with him.
Well, I don't know if I'm at his level just yet, but me, I like going, at least, guys, don't take my word for it. I will recommend a book. I will show you how I'm coming to my conclusions. Because when you understand the parody of what I've tapped into, you suddenly go, I can see Antichrist. I can see where they're going with this, especially with an episode like today. It's not just something I'm going, well, I'll spitball this on a show and I don't really know, but it's just a hunch. Like, no. Showing you the texts, I'm having you see the evidence, and you come to your own conclusion.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, that's the way it should be. You should
Yes.
have the audience do their own research. You shouldn't believe everything you hear out there or read. That's
Right.
for sure. So, but given the complex of often the controversial nature of your work, how have you find the reception to be among your audience or your peers in the field? What kind of feedback do you get?
Peers in the field, I've challenged Billy Carson several times, but he keeps ignoring me, probably because, oh, you're an unknown. But it's like, no, dude, like, I could kind of debunk him in a moment, because I know what he's prepping folks for is to get into the mindset of accepting a Project Bluebeam like scenario of Anunnaki. Oh, they're the good thing, and I'm over here like, no, Fallen Watchers, no, red flag, red flag. And so for peers, still kind of gaining my traction, as it were. As for reception, most of the time it's similar to stuff that like Gary would go through. Is people are viewing texts through denominational lens. And that's something where I'm over here like, I really don't care. As he said on my show, he's a bit of a contrarian. I am very much a contrarian. Because I said, okay, benefit of a doubt. Why don't you want me to read this? Or let's at least understand where they're coming from. Because if you understand the main hub of where they're coming from, you start to unravel and you see how it all reflects and mirrors in our society of like this thing, this program. And you start going, oh, that's why we're supposed to be as wise as serpents, because our adversary, the devil, walketh about like a roaring lion. I see that constantly. So when people get on me, I'm over here like, well, listen, like Marmari, I exposed him and people got all upset. And I said, dude, you're defending the man rather than advocating more so for Christ. That's all I need to know, because there's religion, which is defending the leaders of men, and then there's advocating your mission and purpose, which is advocating for Christ. And if I see something that mirrors or reflects something of the occult, it's for me to call it out and condemn it. I'm just trying to help you see that. If you're going to accuse me, well, then that comes back on you, because I was throwing out a warning and you chose to ignore it. So that's pretty much where I'm at with that, and it's okay. I don't take any hurt. Most of the time it's a block or a remove. It's that easy, so.
Yeah. Have you heard of Bishop Larry Gators? Bishop Larry
No.
Gator.
Very
So
good.
he's a bishop, but he talks a lot about symbolism and things like that. If I remember, I'll try to send you a link. He's hilarious, but he hasn't
Nice.
talked a lot about this. I can't find him anymore talking about this, but he talked a lot about the Black Secret Society and the
Mhm.
elites called the Boule. He talked about that, and they kind of started back in, I don't know if it was late 1800s, but he talked about that. He talked about Kobe Bryant and all the symbolism, and it was really awesome. If I remember, I'll send you the link. It's a good listen.
Nice.
Yeah. But I can't
That's what.
wait to get to talk to the information that you have for us today, the BlackRock. So that's a financial institute. Is that correct?
Yes. But
That's about
what?
all I know.
Yes, that's what a lot of people just, they're like, oh, just bad company. So, what I like doing, as opposed to just saying, oh, Catholic doctrine, blah blah blah. No, let's go to some roots. Let's get some etymology. Let's get some visuals. With this, or even with 9/11, everybody's like, oh, Bush was part of it, and I'm like, no. Occult wise, what does it mean? Let's dig into that. We have a little bit of that in here today. Because when you start understanding what these events mean to the occult, and it's not just, oh, everybody's the elitist, everybody's this. It's just like, you're like, oh, I see what you're doing, and you're gradually getting us to be initiated into your mindset, into accepting all of this in our daily society.
Yeah, interesting. I
Yeah.
was just talking to a guy, Mark, last night. In fact, he was talking about all the symbolism and things in music industry.
Yes.
And same idea, and not only music, but movies and politics, all that comes into play. Just like you said, it's all occult related.
Mark Phillips?
No, Mark
Oh,
Delvin. Yeah.
name actually does somewhat ring a bell. Does he have an Instagram?
Yes.
I might have seen it then.
He used to be a DJ back in
Oh,
the 80s and 90s. So he knows, he's been actually in the music industry. So he's talking from being from within.
yes.
So he knows about all that. So yeah, so we talked about P. Diddy and all that stuff last night.
Nice.
So and all that, yeah. It's pretty cool.
That was that's what I tell people is like when I tell them I'm related to Albert Pike and Franklin, they will go, I'm like, no. If anything, I think that's kind of the gift is that God's like in every generation because he cousins whatever. There's always the good and then there's the bad. And I'm gonna pull this person because he already maybe it's genetic. I don't know. I have a gift of writing, which they have a gift of writing. So maybe that's what he uses. He's like, there you go. This one's going to unravel it all now.
And Albert Pike, he was Freemason, was it?
Very
I know he wrote
prominent
that
literary
book.
Freemason
Yeah.
morals and dogma. Yeah.
Yep.
I'm like, okay, you're gonna pull hundreds of people away. I'm like, no. Now we're gonna fix it. We're gonna get Christians back on the right track. No way, buddy.
How was he related to you? In what way?
He's a distant cousin, and I know this because in the family we already related to Pikes Peak, Colorado, Purple Mountains Majesty. So I have an uncle that actually lives right out there, and he's like right at the base of Pikes Peak. And I looked up Zebulon Pike because there was a whole scandal with him possibly trying to split the Union with Aaron Burr, and he was basically being the emissary to try to negotiate with Mexico to kind of join forces with the South to split the Union. And I was like, yeah, so that was one thing in college, and he's like, do you have anything about that? I'm like, it's a family secret. But when you look up Zebulon, he, like it says, yes, he is related to him. So I know somewhere along the line, there is a cousin branch where I am related to Pike via Zebulon.
Wow.
Yeah.
My husband supposedly is related somewheres down the line to John Hancock. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah, I don't know if it's a cousin or an uncle. Somewheres of that way, yeah.
Happens a lot.
Yeah. So with your presentation, are you going to share your screen?
That's
or?
what I always do, if you don't
Oh,
mind.
awesome. I don't mind. I'm ready.
And then I'll walk you through.
I can, yes.
Okay, because I can't
Wow.
see you. That's the downside, but I'll just
Oh,
take
you
your word
can't?
for
Okay.
it. Yes, like I said, the title, The Origins of BlackRock. And again, we're not just going to go solely from the company. We're going to go all the way back to its beginning, how it connects to Saturn worship and whatnot.
Awesome.
So first, we're going to play a video. It's only like a minute and 20-something seconds. But it's
Okay.
talking about the North Sea.
Just trending because the
Can you hear?
It's very low.
word of the real North Sea, the most
Yes? No?
Yeah, it's just very, very low, but
I'm trying to go as high as I can over on mine. I'm already
Yeah.
at 100.
okay.
If not, I'll
That's
give
okay.
waters isn't getting out, and they needed something else to come up in the search when people started looking into this. The North Pole has a portal, and the Black Rock. Let's get Black Rock trending, and the Rubens Negra trending, and the system. They cannot hide it. Do you know what this place is? It's located in the center of the North Pole, and it's the center of the Earth's magnetic field known as the Thomas Field.
So you were able to hear roughly, or do I have to just give her a little review?
A little review, I think. It was very quiet, yeah.
That's why I was nervous about this platform, because I wasn't sure what we were going to get. Well, again, I'll just brush over. I don't think I only have 2 other clips. But basically, Niagara Rupes, or whatever she just stated, Mount Zion, it is in the center of Antarctica. And apparently that this thing is the real reason all compasses, quote-unquote, point north. This is the reason that they don't want anybody going over there. And the reason that it's called Mount Zion. Does that have any relevance? Why is it also black? What does that have to do with BlackRock? Why would they name an entire company after this? So it begins to make you start scratching your head saying, well, okay, I kind of want to know a little bit more where you guys are coming from with all of this. What is this BlackRock? What is the significance? Does this have anything to do with end times? So, what is BlackRock? Well, it has 27 companies that control the military industrial complex, 30 companies that control the entire medical industry, and 10 companies that control the food supply, and 6 companies that control the flow of information, which is where we get our media from. And this is either Vanguard, State Street, or BlackRock, 2 of which are ships. Kind of significant, because, and again, BlackRock, what is it? Again, compasses, where are they guided? By a compass, Masonic compass. Kind of already see a little bit like, huh, okay. And again, folks, I know you think that possibly, if you're watching this, you think at first all these different companies are just their own separate incorporations. No, they all have a main daddy hub. That's where they're getting their money and supplies from. And it's either going to be tracing back to BlackRock, Vanguard, or State Street every single time. By the way, I can't see your face, so if you do have anything you want to say, just say, I have a quick question, and I can pause immediately, because I don't have any visual response of what I'm going off of here.
Okay, that's weird why you can't see me.
I'm still trying to learn how to hook up 2 computer screens at once when I'm doing these, because this one and Yardstream are always giving me this problem. I can't see the host, so it makes it a little bit difficult for me.
Yeah, it really does. Sorry.
Not your fault. So BlackRock, we have a Bloomberg article here. It has connections to a lot of key players within politics and sponsoring, including Nikki Haley. You also have here that they were helping with a crisis response for Trump and the Fed. That is significant because I'm going to be showing how Trump has a lot of connections to BlackRock in a kind of creepy way. But they have the control of the currency, the control of the food supplies, and the control of information. And again, New World Order, and they own everything. New World Order, take the first 3 letters and put it backwards. O-W-N, own. That is the goal, my dear friends. As I was saying on another show, because anybody, you can be where you want. Personally, I've never been one of those people that's dogmatic of what the official narrative is, as opposed to just saying, well, you're just wrong about that. I've always said, well, let's see what you got. And I've basically come to the conclusion that if you're already tuning off because you're like, oh, great, he's going into this topic, my first question and my request is that you start a petition against the United Nations and all these other companies that have Flat Earth as their logo, because they're giving me and other people in the community a really warped perspective of how I'm supposed to think about this situation when all their logos are representing a flat Earth. So,
yeah, why is that?
Well, we're going to dig a little bit into that.
Okay.
Part of this does connect to BlackRock, and I'm going to be showing, in the next slide after this, how that is divided up into a grid, very similar, like they have in the Hunger Games. So all compasses, they point north, which is the center of the world on the biblical flat Earth, or biblical cosmology, if you want to go with that. BlackRock, or the Rupes Nagra, Mount Meru, is the magnetic north center of the world. BlackRock, the corporation, basically owns the corporate world. BlackRock, Kaaba in Mecca, is the Muslim circle around this BlackRock stone. BlackRock Desert means the burning man, man within a circle. Did we see a burning man a couple of months ago that was in the news?
Yeah, I think we did, right? Yeah, there was. And was it Philadelphia? I forget.
I think it actually in Washington, D.C. at the Israeli embassy.
Okay.
Yeah. Kind of makes you scratch your head. Point within a circle, Freemasonry. It's very center. The alchemical sun symbol, point within a circle.
Yeah, circumpunk.
The United Nations Flat Earth logo, the center dot is number 33. The Mercator 1569 world map shows 4 great rivers coming out of the Rupes Nigra at the center of the world. A river flowed out of Eden to water the garden, and there was divided, became 4 rivers. That's Genesis 2:10. Beautiful in elevation, the joy of the whole world is Mount Zion on the sides of the north in the city of the great king in Psalm 48:2. But then he, the Spirit of truth, comes. He will guide you into all the truth, and he will not speak on his own initiative, but whatever he hears, he will speak, and he will disclose to what is to come. John 16:13. And Eden was in the center of the biblical flat earth. We have to kind of wonder now, because apparently this is significant to them. And we have God coming down and creating his new kingdom. Where? Now we're hearing, technically, it's going to be, the New Jerusalem. Now we're seeing already what's going on over there. And that sigil that they have on their flag, they already said they want the New World Order, and I'll be having a slide way later on this, where Ben-Gurion says they want the New World Order capital to be where the star is on the Israeli flag. And then the river on the north is the Euphrates, and the other blue stripe on the Israeli flag is the Nile. But they want it to be where the star is. Now, it's either going to be there, or is it possibly going to be in the Zion region? Or is this where the Antichrist basically is going to set up his kingdom? Now, see here on the A.E. Gleason map, it's divided up into exactly 33. That's their favorite number. And remember, in Hunger Games, they have district this, district that. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 8. Everybody, remember, the earth gets divided up into 10 kings during the last days. And this goes into what Gary Wayne was saying with the 10 Atlantean kings coming back. All interconnects with this. How they divide it up with the number grid, I'm not exactly sure, but I'm sure there's going to be some sort of elements of what they're predominantly, like if it has more ocean in it, maybe it'll be water demons, whereas it has more earth, maybe it'll be this. But who would get the number 33? Well, that would be their savior figure that translated the Emerald Tablets. That would be the son of perdition, Antichrist, most likely. In Paramount Pictures, we have Mount Hermon. Significance of Mount Hermon with Mount Zion. Are you familiar?
No, I didn't know that was Mount Hermon.
I don't know if this is an exact photo, but I do know this is what it's represented based on.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. A lot of folks don't.
No.
But Mount Hermon, significance of that, it's also located on the 33-degree parallel. So I'm over here when people are, because what I see a lot of pages doing is they'll basically go, oh, look, creepy occult gesture, and they don't go into context of what it means. And if we're in a battle of truth, and what is required in truth? Full truth, pristine truth. And what I'm trying to do with my content, presentations, what I do on my page, is give exact answers. Because I don't want people going, well, that's just a creepy gesture. But it's like, no. What does it mean? Because if we understand meaning, we certainly if that's what that means to them, why am I doing that? It's a good question.
Right.
Well, I don't want to be part of them. Exactly. And this is why Christians are called to be saints, which means set apart. So anyways, the logo for Paramount Pictures starts off with 22 falling stars coming down to a mountain. The stars represent the watcher angels falling from heaven. And the mountain represents Mount Hermon, the mountain they landed on. Why 22 stars? 22 of the angels are named in the Book of Enoch as the conspirators of the pact they made on Mount Hermon to corrupt humanity and create the abominations. Now, This is what I was explaining to somebody, because you know when the Skull and Bones was founded? Mm-hmm. Do you know the numbers?
No. 1922?
322, correct.
322.
So, what you'll often see is, Antichrist number is 666. Followers of the beast is 616. Now, I'll eventually be showing this, but on the tarot card of the magician that's posed like this, you will always find that he has an I, the letter I, over his head, which also represent 1. I, 1. 1 and I. So equals the same thing. So 616. 1 would equal the I, so 616. That's ascending. Now we go back to the Skull and Bones. 322. 3 times 22, the X equals times, or Osiris rising, which is Nimrod, equals 66. And what do they show? The skull. Right?
Wow.
But again, when you understand this, you're just going, oh. So this is what you guys are thinking. You're sending your like ascended master and all that. This is what they're already programmed within their occult. But Saturn symbolism, and remember, a lot of the root of these organizations connect to BlackRock. What is BlackRock? Connects to Saturn worship. Note the logos.
Wow.
It is everywhere. AAA, Toyota, Saturn, DirecTV, and Boeing.
Wi-Fi.
And including Boeing, which is having all those scandals going on right now. Burger King, yeah. So again, even Universal. We're going to be covering that a little bit later, but I just dug into it recently, and I was like, oh my gosh, because I reread one of my slides. I don't create, I just compile, because I see it, and then I'm like, okay, I got to put it all in one place so people can understand and unpack it for themselves. So now when you're scrolling around, you'd be like, oh, I know what this means now, you know? But Marvin the Martian, the classic little cartoon.
I remember him.
A lot of people do. He's wearing the Roman, I'm probably going to butcher the pronunciation, the Gallia soldier helmet, linking aliens to Romans, or Saturnalia in Saturn, aka Nimrod. Right? And it's that little crest on their heads.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. And again, usually that was worn by leaders, not the regular foot soldiers.
Interesting.
Uh-huh. So the Ben stone of ancient Egypt carried the life-giving seed of Atum. That's A-T-U-M, not A-D-A-M. The creator of the universe. The capstone is the seed of Nimrod and double-winged sun god, hence it flies. Now, I kind of personally veer on some of this stuff when everybody always affiliates it solely with Nimrod, because we have to understand, in the occult, they very much believe in that when Nimrod died, two things happened. One, he ascended to become the god of the underworld, which is an equivalence of Osiris, Cernunnos, which is where we get modern-day CERN from, and is also where we get Dispatar, the Latin sky god of the underworld. Dispatar would be the equivalent of Saint Peter. Dis means to be set apart. Saint means to be set apart. Patar means father. So when you're saying St. Peter, you mean like set apart father. And you meet St. Peter where? The pearly gates, Latin sky god of the underworld. You kind of see how they just were like, we'll just tweak it. We'll just tweak it. Right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, but you also begin to see, and I loved, thank you Katy Perry for getting this tattoo. Because even though I understand they're in the cabal, sometimes their tattoos help give me what do you call it? Home run clues, if you will. Because you can see how the eye, I've compiled and put these all together. You can see how the eye looks so similar to the ring of Saturn. Again, ascending.
Yep, you're right.
The Saturn Awards the Starship Enterprise. Note the similarities of how they look all very similarly shaped. Right?
Yeah.
And then I had a friend of mine, drawn to him. You can follow him on Instagram, but he drew that for me because I said, if I was supposed to create basically a logo for the New World Order, that would probably be it. Because the eye would represent Tammuz, the pentagram, or aka Sigil of Astaroth, would be attributed to Nimrod's wife, mom, because Nimrod did his own mom, and then that begat the savior for the occult Tammuz, the Tri-Hermes Baphomet. He has many equivalents, but all traces back to one guy. And then the wings on the Caduceus staff, all there located on one picture. I'm wearing that as like a logo. Again, all of that basically represents the Unholy Trinity of Babel, but like again, if I was able to show that all in one thing, that's what that all represents.
And I like how that star is pointing down.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
That's another symbol instead of up, the point.
And again, showing a little bit of the Baphomet aspect of things with the
Oh,
face,
yeah, that too. Yep.
the wings, the pointing outside. Yeah. And again, Black Cube worship does connect to 666. When you fold up a cross, you have basically the top, so fold that in. You have the two sides, fold those in. Then you fold up the other side. Then you need to close the box. You get 6 points.
Oh, wow. Oh, really?
Yes, and don't take my word for it. You can look up what is the symbol of Tammuz, and it will show you the cross.
I never heard of Temu. What is Temu?
Look up Ezekiel chapter 8, and you will find the prophet Ezekiel. He's having a vision of the priests doing an abominational ceremony within the temple, and the women weeping for Tammuz. That is the line that you get within the Bible. And he had many variants, such as Baal, such as Moloch. Yeah. And a lot of us are just reading our Bible going, oh, these silly people. But when you understand what they believed, you suddenly go, wait a minute, I'm still doing this? Every time you put a Christmas tree up. No. Yes. Because it represents everlasting life, being born again. And I do have a slide on that. That is the Hermetic tree of life, Tri-Hermes, coming back, reborn, rebirthed. They have a similar parity. But what we have is the resurrection. They have regeneration, reincarnation. They're trying to do it through transhumanism. Christ is saying, no, just give up your flesh, and I will give you this. I will give you the... So if I could break that down. Basically what occurred is God's all-knowing. He understands that his heavenly council is about to throw a coup, trying to ascend to be like the God Most High. I'm going to need replacements because I do love my heavenly council. So he creates man. And what do we get? Genesis 6:4, the sons of God, fallen angels, Anunnaki, the watchers, come down, have affairs with the daughters of men. And they create the Nephilim, which is a half angel, half human hybrid, creating the giants that the Israelites were wiping out when they left Egypt. Then what do we get? Later on in the New Testament, you get Paul writing, behold what manner the love of the Father, that we, Christians, saints, should be called the sons of God. We are replacing the former fallen heavenly council. That is what the reward is for being a Christian, because you proved your loyalty to God the Creator. Whereas the other one said, I want a fleshly pleasure in existence. Kind of cool, right? Yeah. Yep. I'm not going to go into full presentation, but if you guys want to look up more on what I covered inside Trump's building, you can look up on the Occult Rejects, Occult Symbolism at Trump Tower, and I unpack all the stuff that's just in his penthouse alone. It's crazy. What? Yeah. Don't get freaked out when you see these long things. I have it here for context, and it might be just 2 slides, but it's just building up to why I came to the conclusions that I did. Here in northern Syria was preeminently the region of the goddess Astarte, Aphrodite, Urania. Also the equivalent would be Astaroth, Queen of the Heavens, was worshipped in a special way. In neighboring Arabia, where Baal was worshipped as the sun, a female deity was worshipped as Athena. These deities were similar or related to the Sol Invictus of Emesa. Many teachings of Mithraism also had noticeable influence on the evolving religion. The Romans were already acquainted with this religion, which had long been propagated in the capital of the empire and had made a place for Jupiter Optimus Maximus, can't pronounce that name, the Baal of Syria, as well for other gods from the surrounding regions. But it remains difficult to determine what the sacerdotes of Rome and elsewhere taught the followers of Sol Invictus Elagabal. The meager indications are provided only by the representation on coins or monuments, showing some aspect of the ritual, and the even scarcer details given by historians. The basic features of this religion comprise pure monotheism, the promise of bliss in another life, intense religious experience, and strange, tumultuous celebrations. All this explains its exceptional power over the emotions, since the elements almost completely satisfied the religion's longing of the Romans of this period. So, just covering a little bit, that the occult basically believes that Mount Hermon, where the fallen watchers came down and had affairs with the daughters of men. Now, what my theory is, so the mark of Cain is the lightning bolt that we see on Harry Potter's forehead, and I did a little bit of a breakdown on that. And basically,
I'm sorry, who had the lightning on the forehead? Moses, did you say?
Cain, from Cain and
Cain.
Abel.
Okay, yes.
God gave him a mark, and again, I would highly suspect it's that. I did a post, I'll probably be doing a repost soon on my Instagram, but basically it shows that he was basically cursed, and if it's a lightning bolt,
Yes.
that was a symbol affiliated with Azazel and Leal, and also therefore it would later transitioned into Nimrod, because Nimrod saw himself as symbiotically possessed by Enlil.
Oh boy.
So if this is the mark that Cain gets, I can almost see it now, that he gets so upset, God doesn't like my offering, so, I don't like God. So if there's any celestial being up there that can show me how to make war against heaven, then I will give up my daughters to you. Don't know if that's true, but it would explain why they come down atop Mount Hermon and have affairs with the daughters of men. What do they get in exchange? In exchange of this pact, we will give you possession, or we will symbiotically fill you so you can become like gods, and we will also give you celestial alchemy knowledge, which is basically what Freemasons believe. And in that, through this alchemy knowledge, you can ascend to become your own gods when you pass from this life into the next. That is what they believe at the end of the day. That is transhumanism. That is ultimately what they're trying to deceive the world into believing.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm just showing a little bit of the elements because that's going to connect with BlackRock in just a moment. The young emperor, and I think that's Elagabalus, he who lived only for his god, Sol Invictus Elagabal, wanted to oust the Jupiter Optimus Maximus from his first place in the religious tradition and put his sun god in that place. The Senate of Rome was forced to bow to this sun god and his high priest, both of whom were equally strange in everything Roman or Western. To give a little context about who Emperor Elagabalus was, is he was a priest originally in the Syria-Lebanon region of the world, and after a particular, forgot the guy that was in front of him, passed, he was basically selected to be the new emperor based off of bloodlines. And he was already a priest, and he was very fond of this little ritual that connected to Elagabalus, his priest, and therefore he gave himself the own name that connects to Elagabalus. Now, this was a guy that basically also wanted to castrate himself to be more similar to his god. Very similar to what we get with the movement going on today. Yeah, right?
You're right. Yes.
And that would connect to hermaphrodite, pansexual, and that connects to the goat, aka Baphomet. That's the same thing. Androgynous is basically what it connects to. Right?
Oh, wow.
So the religious reforms of Emperor Elagabalus, the etymology of Elagabal, the invincible sun god of Emesa, probably originated in Canaan and had retained his ancient nature as the personification of the male principle and of a fertile warmth. He was called Elagabal or Heliogabal, and Helio is going to connect. El-Gabal, the god of Gabal. The most plausible etymologies are the following. Gabal is considered to originate from the Semitic word Gabal, which means massive or exalted. From Gabal, it is derived the Arabic word for mountain. As in the names of various mountainous regions or cities on heights. For example, the high country south of the Dead Sea is called Gebalim. A well-known city of Byblos was formerly called Gebal. Byblos was connected as well with Osiris rituals. The well-known city undoubtedly because it was situated on a mountain. The same root is found in the place name of Gabala, a city situated north of Byblos in the Syrian coast, not far from Laodicea. In the first book of Kings, there is a reference to the country of the Giblites, which is now of Dijbal, north of Beirut, not far from Byblos. It may therefore be assumed that the term Gabal in Aramaic Syriac was also used to indicate high places. Thus, the god Gabal have become known as high places of the heights. His cult and his principal symbol, a conical black stone, are in complete agreement that these high places mentioned in the Old Testament, the sun god Elagabal, must therefore have been the places of worship in the mountains before he was worshipped in Emesa in the valley. So we're over here bashing all these people in the Bible.
Yeah.
It's like they had groves unto Ashtaroth and Baal, and it was always in the high places. What was significant about groves? Why was there statue worship? Well, if you're going by the Iranian mythology, they believed the sky was made of stone. So what do they make? Stone and wooden idols. Why wood? Wood was affiliated with oxygen, air, a celestial channel to go back to where the gods came from. A portal. That's what Babel translates to. Portal of the gods. Right?
Yeah.
So now you're making unto yourselves wooden or stone idols because it represents the fallen angels. Now here's the thing. In ancient Hebrew lore, angels were known as star walkers. This is where Luke Skywalker from Star Wars, yes, that's where he gets his name. So that's from crazy. The influence there, yes. Mm-hmm. So when you start understanding that, you're like, when you wish upon a star... Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. A falling star at that.
Right.
BlackRock, which is the meteorite that they're worshiping. So we're just laying a little bit of a ground basis, but that's probably going to show you like, oh, wait a minute. Yeah, where dreams come true, my butt. A different etymology put forth by F. Lenormant in his article, Sol Elagabalus, Sol is a word for sun, in which he identifies the god Gabal of Emesa with the Chaldean god of fire, whose name is written Bilgi, and is pronounced Jibal. According to Lenormant's hypothesis, the god Gibel also already been worshipped in the pre-Semitic peoples, including the Sumerians, the Akkadians, and later adopted by the Chaldo-Babylonian religion. From there, he became known to other Semites. Lenormant cites inscriptions in which Jibal means the god of the black stone, the god of cosmic fire, of the flame of sacrifice, or the domestic hearth, in which therefore would not be surprising if this was the fire god, once transported to Syria, was identified with the sun. Both these etymologies have a certain acceptable basis, but the hypothesis put forth by Fuller and Thiel, also included Lenormant's article, are worthy of consideration. According to El Gabal, To them, Agabal means simply the god, former, or creator. Interesting, because the black stone, the Ben rock. According to them, El Gabal means simply the derived from the Syrian root word Gabal, which means to the end, complete, and by extension, form, create. No other etymology in such good agreement with the idea held the 3rd century Syrians of Emesa concerning their god, Solollah Gabal, the emperor. But the question remains whether ties and hypothesis really explain the form of the name El Gabal or El Jabal. Would be better as El Gabal. So anyways, we've laid basically a ground basis that Baal would be connecting to this black stone. And also, fun fact, sun priests used to be known as pontifices.
What's that?
Son of God worship, sun God worship. It's not that bad.
Right.
But you see where they have the Mitra hat, which connects to Mithraism. Anybody watching, highly recommend investing and finding out more about Mithraism, because you will understand Freemasonry and you will understand the Catholic Church a lot better at the end.
Mithraism? I've never heard of that word.
Mithraism. And that's also where you get the word mythos or myth from. But fun fact, what did we read here? The god of fire. Break down the word pyramid, pi, fire, ra of the sun, ra, and mid, in your midst. Fire of the sun god in your midst.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Right? And there's 3 pyramids. Yeah. Like, I know they give us an official story, but sometimes I have to wonder when they're showing movies like Godzilla versus Kong, and there's an X in the title as opposed to an and they're showing us a beast coming up from the earth at the base of a pyramid, and then they show us a sea beast in the trailer.
Weird.
Pyramids aligned exactly with the stars. Don't know, but when you find out that their savior guy is possibly buried in one of the pyramids, kind of makes you scratch your head and go, wait a minute.
Interesting.
What do we have here? As a result, this syncretism was not the same for the masses as it was for the educated classes and philosophers. The many Baals of the East were finally assimilated into a single soul. Spontaneously, the elements, having most in common, were selected from various cults. Roman paganism gradually merged into monotheism, conceived under the general and concrete, the religious and philosophical form of monotheism of the sun. The crisis undergone by the Roman emperor, in the material sense, was no less violent. Aurelian, who came right after Elagabalus, had followed more than 50 emperors who legally bore the title imperator. This rapid succession had rudely shaken the prestige of the imperial authority. By his talented leadership, Aurelian had restored order. The last point on his program was the attainment of the moral unity, and this he accomplished by making the cult of Dios Sol Invictus the official cult of the empire. So remember when we're reading that the Roman Empire eventually became a religion? Basically, Sol, the sun god aspect of things, became the state religion officially. Mithraism became the occult religion unofficially. Mithraism worshipped in caves. Why? Because this cosmos was made of stone, so they worshipped in caves. And it was star worship, like the Magi. Yeah. Fun fact. Remember we just read here Dios Sol Invictus? Remember when the Crusades were going on? Dios Volt? A Dios Volt. Now, curious, wait a minute. Let's break down the etymology of a soldier. S-O-L, sun god, D-I-E-R. Destined to die. You're destined to die for a sun god.
Oh my gosh, that's awful.
But again, this is what I'm telling people. There's a difference between warrior and being a soldier. Warrior is defending your loved ones in your home. A soldier is fighting for your government or a deity.
Yeah, sun god. Wow.
Here we go. Many show part of the magnificent annual procession, the chariot carrying the conical stone drawn by 4 horses. Interesting. So closely was the emperor connected with Sol Invictus that he not only assumed his name, but also usually presented him as his companion, Comes, the protector, conservator. In the same way as this protector, the sun god was invincible, Invictus. Elagabalus used the epithet Invictus for himself, and thus implied that he was unconquerable. On this point, he entertained and with great expectations, he imagined that he had appealed to the imagination of his subjects. The unconquerable sun god Sol Invictus Elagabal, Conservator Augusti, had made his own protege Invictus. After Elagabalus, this term remained part of the imperial title. And it was through him that we had the founding of temples that were starting to teach the sun god worship. Basically, he wasn't invincible. After about 4 years of this, his Praetorian Guard, which is basically the equivalent of the Secret Service in his day, were like, we don't like you bringing this Eastern stuff to us and imposing it on us. You're out of here, dude. So they assassinated him. Yeah. You can look him up, folks. The special community with letters, they love him. You can find a bunch of articles how he was their first guy. If I'm not mistaken, I think he might have tortured somebody so he could have his way with them. What do the four horses represent? I wasn't able to find the exact page I was reading, but what it did say was that it represented the four elements, which each one of the horses. So you had fire, water, air, earth. Mm-hmm. Conjoined all together, you get the Star of David.
What? Really?
Yeah, I'll be showing you as we keep going, right? Star of David, but it's actually the Star of Remphan, which was condemned in Amos 5:26 and in Acts 7:43. It's part of the reason why they stoned him. This is the stuff Christ was condemning, because they merged all of this into the Judaic faith, and Christ was like, this is not what my Father set up for you guys. This was idolatry. This was saying, we're just going to interfuse it. What's your big deal? There's a big deal for the ones that follow me, because I want loyal followers, like I just explained. I don't want ones that are mixing with the ideologies of the enemy.
Yep.
So, on his worshippers, he bestowed gifts, this was Mithra, including wide pastures, large herds, male children, and beautiful women. And like Mithra and Mithras, Mitra was a chariot-driving sun god. Mitra was associated with a plant called soma, juices and mixed with cow's milk and produced intoxication. Mithra was close friends with Sol Invictus. It was going on basically at the same time, and at some point they eventually kind of merged the two mythos, but both of them were sun god related deities. But I'm just explaining that we see the similarity of chariot. Okay, what do the four horses represent? The elements. Now, isn't that interesting that I'm already laying a bit of a ground basis that the four elements, four horses, and we have what in the last days? The four horses of Revelation. And who has power over them? Their Antichrist figure.
Wow. Yeah.
Right.
So are they coming from the earth, water, air, and fire?
He has power and control over them. Remember? It's
all
an elemental religion of alchemy. Is having control of how to use all of that. Well, I have sky. I have planes. Well, I have water. I have a navy. I have earth. I have foot soldiers and tanks. Fire. I know how to make destruction.
Wow.
Right? And their Messiah figure, this is who they wanted. Not Christ. They wanted the Trihermas, the Mithra, their Baphomet. Nimrod's son. We want him regenerated in his final form. That's who they wanted. Not Christ. In their eyes, you're an imposter. A son of God? No, our God is Nimrod. Our God is Tammuz, his son, which was Nimrod reborn. That's why they were so upset with him. And I did a breakdown, King of the U's, where you can see the symbolism of all that. So sacred stones shown on coins. A sacred stone, or a batelis, is depicted on some ancient coins. Here are some examples. A coin minted in a mesa. and this is roughly around that time period, 253 to 54, shows a Belitis depicting within its symbol or shrine dedicated to the Syrian sun god Elagabalus. So it's already affiliated with coinage. Who else is affiliated with the creation of coinage? Hermes, Nimrod's son. Interesting. This stone originated in Emesa, Syria, was later taken to Rome when it was enshrined. A coin minted in the Seleucia of Piera, Asia Minor, 98 through 117, shows a sacred stone believed to represent Zeus Cassius. And again, like I said, lightning bolts would connect to Nimrod, but the inspiration comes from the Titans, as Gary would more sift out better for folks. And a coin from Byblos shows Emperor Marcinus on one side, and on the other side, a stone-like object inside the temple of Belet Gebal. So you're seeing constantly, oh, I'm a sun god emperor, I'm a sun god emperor, son of God, sun god. And this is what Constantine did, as he saw himself as Christ's representation while he was on earth. Mm-hmm. Yes, what Mithraism teaches is that, oh, we can all become our own ascended sun god. Wow. So this is where we're getting the movement of Christ consciousness? Different lies and terminologies, but all leads to the same core origin lie.
Mm-hmm. You're right.
So, meteorites, Pliny the Elder briefly relates 4 accounts of stones that fell from the sun or sky, including the well-known fall of Ego Ospatami? Forgive me for mispronunciations, I just compile, I don't know. Aristotle also mentioned this fall. Pliny states that there is no doubt that stones have frequently fallen from the atmosphere. In the Roman history, Herodian tells us of a large and lavish temple in Phoenicia that did not contain a statue of a god, but of a huge black stone with a pointed end and round base in the shape of a cone. The Phoenicians solemnly maintain that this stone came down from Zeus. So Zeus, Baal, Blackstone, 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 or aka BlackRock. Aphrodite of Paphos on the island of Cyprus. This is right between Egypt and like a little bit northwest of Israel. Was a center of worship for several hundreds of years. A black stone, which apparently still survives, represents the goddess. However, this stone is volcanic basalt and not a meteorite. Tacitus describes the goddess. The representation of the goddess is not in human form, but it is a circular mass that is broader at the base and rises like a turning post to the small circumstance at the top. Do you notice anything here with the description? That it sounds very similar to the monoliths that we have all over the place in the Vatican, in Washington, D.C., with the Washington Monument.
Okay, yeah.
You see those little, like, the pillars, and it has a little point at the end?
Yes.
Yes, that's what I'm referring to. But again, this inspiration has got to come from somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Livy also mentions Cybele's, and Cybele's an equivalent of Nimrod's wife. She's also inspiration for where we get Mother's Day from. The black stone, which was taken to Rome from Pergamon in 204 BCE, and may still have been in Rome in the 1st century CE. They came to Pergamos to the king, who received the ambassadors graciously and conducted them to Pessinus and Phrygia, and putting into their hands a sacred stone, which the inhabitants said was the mother of the gods, bid them convey it to Rome. And then we have over here, the historian Herodian recounts some of the stone's history. They say that this statue of the goddess fell from the sky. The exact material of the statue is not known, nor the identity of the artist who made it. In fact, it is not certain that the statue was the work of human hands. Long ago, it fell from the sky in Phrygia. The name of the region where it fell is Pisius, place of the fall, which received its name from the fall of the heavenly statue. That was the statue discovered there. And again, it connects with the black stone of Cybele. So Cybele is equivalent of Nimrod's mom. Black stone is connecting to Baal. Baal is equivalent of Nimrod's son, Tammuz. It all goes back to the Unholy Trinity anyway. They tried to dice this. But we have this statue mentioned in the Bible. Images or statues that fell from heaven in Athena or the Athens. Geographer Pausanias mentions the legend of the goddess of Athena, namely for her image fell from heaven, sky. Don't need to read all that, but let's just go over here. Where is it mentioned in the Bible? Acts 19. People of Ephesus, what person is there who doesn't know that the city of Ephesians is the temple of the guardian of the great Artemis? And the image which fell down from Zeus, and her image that fell from heaven, and of the statue that fell from... So any way you want to go with translation, it all connects back to this stone goddess that Paul was encountering. And I was kind of chuckling because earlier in this passage of 19, he was being confronted by certain peoples asking, were they baptized in the Holy Spirit? And they said, no, we were baptized by John the Baptist. He says, well, that's not right, because you need to be baptized in the Holy Spirit. Why? Because the Holy Spirit basically means now you're being indwelled with the Ark of the Covenant. So when the temple veil was ripped in two, what happened? You no longer need a high priest to intercede for you into the Holy of Holies, because now you are indwelled. Greater is he that is within you than he that is of the world. Know ye not that your body is a temple of the Lord? So by ripping that veil, he's basically saying, my presence is no longer within the Ark of the Covenant. It is now indwelling my people. This is the significance of having a Holy Spirit baptism, because now you are being indwelled and understanding what this means. Whereas the pagans, they're still all worshiping the statues and how to get and ascend through this. Do you see where the parallels are going and why there's the rift?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, we'll skip the one on the left. Astarte, also Ishtar, where we get Easter from, is the queen of the heaven, whom the Canaanites burned offerings to and poured libations in Jeremiah 44. Astarte was the goddess of war and sexual love. Shared so many qualities with her sister Anath that they may have originally been seen as a single deity. And don't take my word for it, folks. You can look up Sigil of Astaroth. You will find the pentagram. So that confirms that Nimrod's mom or wife is the original witch in the Bible. And they even accredit her that, I think it was witchcoven.com. Confirms that Nimrod's mom or wife is the original witch in the Bible. And they even accredit her that, I think it was witchcoven.com. Who is the queen of the heaven in the Bible? Queen of the heaven is mentioned in the Bible and has been associated with a number of different goddesses by different scholars, including Anat, Astarte, and Ishtar. Astaroth as the composite figure. And what was her backstory? Well, in Judaic lore, she was the high-ranking angel, either one of the seraphim or the princes of the thrones, prior to his fall. Astaroth, the Grand Duke and treasurer of hell. Now, like I said with Hermes, and like I noted here, what are we getting a common element? When the Pharisees approached him, well, do we render unto Caesar, or do we, do we honor God first? Render unto Caesar the things that are Caesar's, and unto God the things that are God's. Basically, you're with and under the rule of man at this time. But don't forget your spiritual priorities first and foremost to your heavenly Father. That's what that comes down to. I just found it ironic that Nimrod's son is possibly affiliated with the origination of coinage. And what is what is Antichrist? It's opposed to God and seeking materialism. Materialism is alchemy. That is the game playing field of the occult, is loving the elements more than God. The Black Stone of Cybele, and again, says in Acts 19:35, is the famous black stone associated with the Phrygian mother goddess Cybele. It is possible that the aspects of Cybele's mythology were conflated with the Ephesian Artemis in archaic times. Basically, I just put that in there so that you again see another goddess affiliated with Artemis. Who is Artemis? Well, the goddess of nature, childbirth, wildlife, the moon, the hunt, and sudden death. Sudden death. Now, that brings up something interesting for me. Sudden death. So the first ship that we sent up to the moon was Apollo 11. Remember, 1 and 1 equal AA. Abraham Accords, AA, 1 1, II. Thoth Ra, the Alcyon Ice. Artemis, the goddess of sudden death. Well, when you look at Baphomet's arms, you have Solve on one side, which is to bring something from one realm into another. Coagula, blood clot, died suddenly. 11, duality, one or the other, black and white, black and white. You have a question?
No, almost like the coagulant you're saying, like the blood clot shot.
Yes, exactly what I'm implying. And again, that's how I know it is connected to them, because you look at the top of their Hermetic tree of life, it's corona, translated into Latin. In Hebrew, it is Kether. So you just go, wait a minute. Again, I think I figured out who the Antichrist is, because at the bottom is Malkut. When you watch the other episode, The King of the Ewes. Because again, I'm pulling from their texts and comparing it along the Bible, and all of a sudden I go, oopsie daisy, I think I just stumbled onto who the endgame guy is here, and I didn't, okay. Now, people don't like to hear it, but it's like I'm doing digging from their side. And that because I've aligned all these dominoes in a row, suddenly they all fall into place and trace to one individual. So what is this black stone that's in Mecca? Every day, 5 times a day, Muslims across the world face the holy site of Mecca and pray. Mecca is believed to be the birthplace of the Prophet Muhammad. And when followers visit the site, it is not actually Mecca they are facing, but a building of the Kaaba, or Kaaba, Kabbalah, whatever. It's Kaaba for them, it's Kabbalah to the Hebrews. So either way, it traces back to the same kind of thing. So that's why I'm laughing, is when we're having all these separations, you start going, wait a minute, there's got to be a key common element here. Now, if it's true that crypto-use created Catholicism for Gentiles with Mithraism interfused into the early church, this is why we get counterfeit Christianity. Everybody's kind of cynical of key. Why? Because we have the counterfeit interfused with the faith. And now we're getting a lot of converts like Candace Owens, Mari, Russell Brand, Jordan Peterson. What are they all flirting with? Catholicism. Why? Well, when we get to the end of this, you'll be going, oh, you have to unite all the world religions under something that looks like Christian, or we're still waiting in the meantime, but people aren't going to catch on until it's too late because you already gripped onto the beast system. In Islam, the meteorite worship of the black stone. Islam's meteorite that they circle at the Kaaba is like the meteorite of Acts 19, 23 through 36. 600 years later, it seems the pagans would think the meteor was a god and start worshiping it. And again, it's the verse over there. Connected with Artemis. Ibn al-Kelbi reports that a manat was a large stone in the territory of the Unholy tribe, and a lat was a rectangular stone upon which a ewe used to grind wheat, and sod was a high block of stone in the desert. In some cases, the divinity was identified with a particular rock of the natural rock. Alphals was a reddish-brown protection, resembling a man, or otherwise a black mountain, like the Mount Zion, Mount Meru, again, thing where all the magnetic compasses go. But specifically, erected stones might also serve as the dwelling places of the divinity or the seats of his power. That most famous of all the stone fetishes of Arabia was, of course, the black stone in the sanctuary of Mecca. Again, something that I found interesting was used to grind wheat. Now, this is something you can look up with Tammuz when the women are weeping for Tammuz. Ash Wednesday, Tammuz was killed by a wild boar at the age of 40. When did 2020 happen? 2020, 40. Ash Wednesday, you have a T-shaped cross on your head of when Tammuz was slain. You eat pork for 40 days in memory of Tammuz. Right?
Oh.
And what did I say? They want him to come back from the dead. So
Mhm.
what is this? Ultimately, ashes. What was America known as? You know, the Aztecs used to call America the land of the feathered serpent or phoenix, known
Oh.
as Turtle Island. Hermes is affiliated with turtles and eagles, and eagles were known for carrying the souls of the dead to their final place, their destiny. Hermes was known as carrying souls to the underworld and the messenger between the gods. So if an Antichrist figure has power over the fallen angels, I'm just saying, when I start digging, I'm like, wait, it connects beautifully. And a lot of scholars have already speculated maybe it's Nimrod. But when you dig into the occult, you're like, no, because Tammuz matches more in parallel with Christ. And again, like yourself, well, who's Tammuz? Exactly. If I do write a book, Who's Tammuz is one of the titles. Just to clarify for Christians, it's going to have like the Christmas thing. Like, you may not know this, but you're worshiping. um, but I thought it'd be a fun little pun title because it gets people to go, well, I've never heard of this guy. But if you understand who he is, you now can start reaching people. Like I had a comment on YouTube and the guy's like, isn't Jesus just another sun god? What the? And I'm like, okay, bad word. Um, but it kind of makes me laugh because it's like, yes, I get where you're coming from, but I'm trying to explain counterfeit. I'm trying to explain the metaphors and symbolism because if you understand that, you understand the religions of men. Demon Eye nations, denominations, seminaries, Semiramis, hermeneutics, the study of sacred holy text, Hermes. You see how it's already infiltrated our church. And I'm trying to warn people because it's already here. And a lot of people are still thinking it's going to be like a futuristic 220. I'm like, it's right now. It's right now. Sorry for the little rant, but sometimes I get passionate.
No, no.
Well, TMZ network.
Hmm.
And there's always the official, oh, it means this. Then there's the Tim's, Tim's. Again, iPhone.
Hmm.
Like I was telling
Wait.
somebody, you know what? I'll save that. I'll save it because we're getting up there and I don't want to give my
Okay.
whole presentation before I get to that part.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Um, but Christmas, December 25th, was a birthday for pagan Mithra, the god of light. Interesting. Pilgrimage and circling the Kaaba. Each local tribe of Arab pagans walked 7 times around their own Kaaba and housed their own black stone. Kissing the black stone. Pagans kissed their own tribal black stones. The stone throw at Mina, widespread custom among pagan Arabs. The run, Safa, and Marwa. Pagans ran between 2 idols, Asaf and Naila, the praise of the pilgrimage. Another interesting thing, when I was reading that, you have to equate miles into it. That was another pagan deity affiliated with Sol Invictus and Mithra, and they're running. Again, folks, as with Muslims, as with Catholics, as with everybody, what I'm asking you to consider if you're listening and you're getting already offended, look at the traditions of men. Because if you're defending your denominational adjectives or your customs and traditions, you are worshiping Antichrist or you are worshiping religion because that is what he condemned the Pharisees of. It says you practice the traditions of men, which traditions in Hebrew translates to Kabbalah, which is exactly what the Pharisees are doing. And that does connect to the Hermetic tree of life and the Christmas tree. So when you start understanding that, you start going, oh, wait a minute. I didn't realize I was doing that. I'm sorry. And it's okay because now you know. But if you continue to do it, that's going to be now accredited to you. So,
Oh, there you go with the cross. I see it. The
uh-huh,
cross makes into the cube.
yep. I had a guy literally screenshot all my slides and then basically bash my page for this is an account you don't follow for such and such teaching. And I was like, you obviously didn't watch one presentation because you're seeing again the 10 slides, which people get impatient and then they don't read the inscription. And I'm like, well, if you watch the shows, it lays more context. I'm doing the best I can with a 250 word count plus 10 slides. And again, did he dig into all of this? No, this is a $94 book that I'm taking a lot of these pictures from. Therefore, I don't think most people have it because it's crazy. But again, because of what followers give to me, I'm doing the researching and I'm bringing up the scrolls to show you what it says. So there is a third member of the college whose name we know, in addition to the two mentioned above, since it appears on the inscription, namely Verus, a basis of exigua found on the Transtiberium district of Rome, permits the conclusion of Verus, priest of Sol Invictus, dedicated a figure of an eagle to his god. The pedestal probably supported his figure, which has been lost. A dedication of this kind was normal, seeing that the eagle also played a special role in the cult of the dogma of Sol Invictus. Now, I just found it interesting that that's affiliated with colleges, and we have an eagle, again, which is something very prominent in American culture, especially. And we see, again, colleges connecting with the caps that we wear. University graduate wears the black robe, the god Saturn, and the mortar board of the Freemasonry, both very ancient symbols. So the black cube in Mecca in the occult is called the hyper cube. It represents mind control. That's why the TV is black, cell phone as well, and cube shaped. The graduation hat is a black cube, etc., all mind control. When Muslims walk around it in rings, a representation of the Saturn rings. Saturn, Satanism, that is what you're giving your energy to. Same with Christianity. The cross, when folded up, folds into a cube. More mind control. Same with the other religions, all based on Satanism and created by the dark occult. Now, granted, you're probably getting a little bit of like, oh, wait, Christianity. No, that's why I always try to tell people. When you hear that, you kind of have to go, oh, Catholicism. Or people that, again, defending the denomination rather than advocating Christ. That is who I'm calling out, the sleeping bridesmaids, because when you tell them this stuff, they say, well, I don't do it for those reasons. God knows my heart. The heart is deceitfully wicked, and secondly, we're supposed to abstain from all appearances of evil. So evil is still evil, and if you've been confronted with it, you look into it, because you actually want to honor God. You don't want to have any appearance of evil, so no man has anything evil to say of you. If you're just like the world, how do you convert? Dangerous. So, like you said, who's this Tammuz dude? He's mentioned in Ezekiel, and it's referring to Ezekiel having this vision in chapter 8 of the sun priests basically doing a sun god ceremony. And somebody sent me a picture. I'll probably update this at some point if I ever redo a presentation with somebody. But they're all worshiping the sun god Tammuz. Again, sun god worshipped. Horus can be an equivalent. How do I know? We'll have another slide, but Tammuz is affiliated with eyes. The eyes is his symbol, or the Ouroboros infinity logo. The 8 tipped on its side. Actually, whoa, see? I didn't even mean to, but when you put this, that's the Ouroboros. Sorry, folks. I'm just, once in a while, I have breakthroughs in shows. Look, that's what it means. It happens. But again, 666, that's what that represents when...
I just found that out, that
really?
meant 6. I didn't know that. Didn't know that. Yeah.
And again, this is what I tell people, because somebody else was getting on me for a Chris Pratt post, because he was doing this or like this as well. And I was like, esoteric, exoteric. Esoteric is what is hidden. Exoteric is, oh, I just thought it means rock on. Did you know that Mithra was born from a rock? Huh? Again, you start going, wait a minute. Eventually, at a certain point, it's what you do know or what they want you to think. And then there's you have no idea what I'm doing. Yeah, that's right. Cheer. Let's cheer. Sing for me on stage. That's the way I see it. And it's kind of sad when you try to warn people and they just roll their eyes at you. But again, he brought me into the inner court of the temple, and behold, at the door of the temple, between the porch and the altar, were about 25 men, with their backs towards the temple and their faces towards the east. And they worship the sun towards the east, to the west. East, no, and they worship the sun towards the east. Sorry. Ezekiel 8, 16. There's a lot of articles that you can look up with East meets West, and a certain president that was just in office formerly has at least a dozen or so articles affiliated with East meets West. Considering we were talking about magnets and compasses, starts to make you go, that's a lot of coincidences. You can find that more in the Symbolism at Trump Tower. I was just like, okay, that's one too many. Because that's what my buddy was asking. He said, so with all your conspiracy theories, like, had you ever been proven wrong yet? And I said, not really. Because they all interconnect. It's conspiracy theory, straight. And what I'm trying to convey to him, I said, yes, there's benefit of a doubt. I've done this, but I was doing it like when I was talking for somebody, I did this. The guys think I went this, and I was like, this is this.
Is there a difference between that and then this?
Yeah, it was just making a point. I was making a point in a statement. Because you can still do that. And some people are so paranoid that, yes, you do. Again, I understand. But then there's bringing it up to your eyeball. And then there's... Yeah. That's what I'm telling people.
Trump talks like this. You know, sometimes he'll be like that. He's
brought it up to his eyes. Or he says a phrase and then does that. That's where I tell some people it's either it's affiliated with the phrase, like the boxer guy that just came out talking about Ryan Garcia. He was talking about Bohemian Grove. It's like, we already know about Bohemian Grove. But later on, he was talking about, oh, we won. We did it. We did it. And he's flashing 666 when he says we did it, which is, if you understand their religion, that's a symbiotic nod, is that we did it.
Okay. Instead of okay.
Right. And that, or okay. Or there's like, okay. And then you'll see here, and you'll see here, like you're pointing at a screen or something, or like a lecturing or something. That's what I'm telling Christians. You have to use discernment, or you get people like my buddy Brian, who will say, well, how do you know? It's like, I'm not being paranoid. I'm not that obsessed. But if I start seeing all of this, plus other things, we start putting it all into brackets, and then we compile it all together. And then I will say, this is why I suspect this. Because...
What was this?
Just a hand?
Did you just do that? Oh, maybe you were just giving...
I'm talking. I don't know. Guys, don't screenshot and go on a conspiracy trail. I'm just trying to help here. What was that? Tell me. I don't know. Again, that's what I'm saying. Don't get so freaked out, but it's good to be wary. Because, again, you add it up the number of times. You add it with the phrases that are correlated with it. And then you start going, okay, I can kind of see what you're saying now. Because then you start to understand sign language. Yeah, that's what I told people. It's a sign language symbolism cult. That's how they speak to us. Because, again, if everybody understood it, do you think they'd be getting away with what they do? No. And what's the purpose? Guys, what does Christ say to his followers and disciples? Could you not stay awake with me? Talking about sleeping bridesmaids. Okay, let's break that down. Do you understand that's not said to a bunch of atheists? No, it's said to bridesmaids that aren't paying attention. You have some 5 keeping awake, staying vigilant. They have their oil. They have God's word, right? Thy word is a lamp unto my feet. So they got a lamp. Cool. What's oil? Holy Spirit discernment. That is what he gives abundantly. This is where, Paul was asking, are you baptized in the Holy Spirit? Because you want to understand the spiritual battle you're entering. And if you don't have your oil, you're going to fall asleep when the bridegroom returns, because you said conspiracy theory. And what does he say to that servant that didn't use any of his talents? You were relying on another election cycle. You were doing this. Well, I was doing it for you. My kingdom is not of that earth. How many times do you need to hear that? You're promoting the kingdom of heaven. You were bought for a price. I don't want to hear it, lazy servant. Get out from me. Depart. I never knew you. And again, Hosea 6:4, my people perish for a lack of knowledge. And because you have rejected knowledge, I will reject you from being my high priest, and I will also forget your children. Yeah. So ding, ding, ding. Wake up. Because again, I say this out of love. A lot of people are saying I get narcissistic. I'm like, no, I'm just... I don't want to hear any excuses when you get weeping and gnashing of teeth. I'm going to be like, I tried. Let's get back to the feast. Anyway, legions in Syria, they worship Sol Invictus. That's what the book was, the cult of Sol Invictus. Partly as a result of the influence of the cult of Emesa.
acclaimed Elagabalus emperor. An inscription to this has been in effect in the Brigisho Pannonia Superior. Dedications to the expressions of the gratitude of the sun god Elagabal were made by individuals of every class and position. The doctrine of Sol Invictus, Elagabal, would now penetrate it everywhere. The ritual of Emperor Elagabalus, a crowned high priest, again, Catholic Church, Pontifex, we're kind of seeing the origins here, of Sol Invictus, sacrificed to the sun god every morning during the daily rites for which he stood in front of an altar, presumably in a particular attitude and facing in a particular direction. I'm going to guess it was east. The accomplishments sacerdos wore typically Syrian robes, ornaments with precious stones. His face was decorated with red, and his eyes were made up, accompanied by a group of women who danced and struck music from strange instruments, and proceeded from the imperial palace in readiness. He made round the altars, performing sacred dances as he went. It may be that he himself examined the entrails of young children that he had sacrificed, for he was predominantly sacra cognomations, the mysterious occult Sol Invictus, and could therefore provide decisive elucidation and final pronouncement. He could function with the complete assurance that as augur, since he had himself initiated into the other mysteries whenever he had the symbols and other deities transferred to Elagabalurium. So again, Baal worshipped, and we see the similarities of the Catholic Church. And when you read Ezekiel 8, just do that for a Bible study. You'll start going, wait a minute. Child sacrifices, Baal worship connecting to the guy that's the origination of women weeping for Tammuz. You see them dancing around here. I was like, I could be wrong, but that's a lot of freaking similarities that the Bible confirms was a ritual ceremony and abomination that was occurring within the temple. A lot of people like saying King Solomon's the good guy. He fell and started worshiping Astaroth as his wives. He is basically one of the forefathers of Freemasonry. So when people start understanding that, as I did in the Sacred Seed episode I did, you start going, oh, so temple worship is, and we're waiting on this third temple thing is not, no, it's not. In the occult, it is. For Christians, we are the temple. We are the chosen people. Give a little further. Don't, again, we want proof. I don't want to, no, you're just being biased. No, let's dig more. As I said before, Cybele was affiliated with Africa. Basically, what occurred when Carthage, when they were having Hannibal come over and they were having all the, this makes me embarrassed. I'm having a moment where I forgot the name of that war, but when Carthage was basically going to war with Rome. Anyways, they basically said, if we get to defeat Hannibal, we will worship the Carthaginian gods. Basically, turn on your own guy, and so this is how Cybele made her migration into the Roman Empire, and eventually becoming the Queen of the Heavens, which in October 1952-54, the Catholic Church dubbed the Virgin Mary the Queen of the Heavens. So as well, Isis's nickname, Ashtaroth. So you start going, wait a minute. But anyways, this is how she migrated to Rome, and the cap of Cybele was one of the oldest and most sacred pagan religious symbols of humanity, dating back to about 2000 BC. The skull cap was worn by the sun priests of Egypt. It is thin, slightly rounded skull cap, known commonly by various titles, including the Yarmouk, the Kufi for the Muslims use, and the Roman Catholic calls them the Zaketi. Vatican Hill was the site of the largest ancient temple to Cybele. Astaroth, the goddess of fertility, sexuality, and war, was known as Cybele in Rome. The Bible warns against worshiping her, and the children of Israel again did evil in the sight of the Lord and served the Baals and the Ashtaroths. Remember, it's plural. Why? Because there's several variations, but it all leads back to the Unholy Trinity of Babel. And the Bible declares, for a man indeed ought not to cover his head, since he is in the image and glory of God. 1 Corinthians 11:7. Can we skip that? Yeah, we can skip that. I think we can skip that. Do you have any questions?
No, but no, I was just thinking of a comment that that thing that they wore the
Yeah.
Catholic priest or whatever. That's almost like a yarmulke
That
as
yeah,
well.
sorry, I
Like
think that's what I mispronounced. But yeah, yarmulkes, Muslim, it's the same thing.
interesting.
How do you unite the world religion? Because everybody's still doing the same thing.
Hmm.
And you realize that Jews created Catholicism for Gentiles, and then Catholicism in turn created Islam through Muhammad. And you had Joseph Riviera. I think Walter Veith was digging into that, origins of Islam. And you start going, wait a minute. So you created three most prominent religions in the world, and you basically doctored them all up. Why? Because if you can control most of the religions, you can control most of the people. But you also can utilize said religion as your pawns. So you can create the narrative here. You can have this war here. And what did a rabbi call Islam? They are the Islam is the broom of Israel. Okay, so basically you send them in and you guys come up and clean it up with laws, legislation, and causing problems and making everybody buy this war on terror and mixing it with theology. When it's like they weren't wiping out an ethnicity. They were wiping out an abominable offspring, the Nephilim. You know those giant bones you hide under the Vatican, Your Honor? Those is who we are talking about, not an ethnicity. Otherwise, Galatians 3:28 and 29 is null and void, as well as Hebrews 8:13. We are the new covenant. We are heirs according to the promise. Everybody has the chance to come in. But because they've wired this paranoia within us, we've now cut off a whole 1/3 of the portion of reaching them for Christ. That is terrifying. And then you have half of Christianity buying New Ageism or Catholicism, which is absolutely terrifying. So it really is paramount and important that if you're a Christian, that you understand your game, you understand the symbolism, because if you don't, you end up becoming a sleeping bridesmaid. And I don't want that for anybody. Anyways, the father of the Big Bang lie was George Lemaitre, the Belgian Jesuit Roman Catholic priest who proposed the Big Bang Theory in 1927. The Pope Lemaitre's time was Pius XII and was delighted that a Catholic priest had conceived of a scientifically valid creation story for the universe, even though it had nothing to do with the scriptures. Reason I'm bringing that up because that goes back again to the 33-degree grid that we have laid out for us. As I said, folks, get a petition started and you fix the logos, maybe I'll believe you. But what's their logo? Smithsonian, the one that also hides a lot of bones and stuff, and the Jesuits logo. It's sun god worship. Again, connecting with Catholic priestdom. Halos, where did they come from? I did an episode as that on as well. Origins of crowns, wreaths, and halos. They all go back to a spiked halo. Corona means crown in Latin. Why do you think they put a spiked crown on Christ's head? Yeah, so if you're wondering if we're getting to the end times, the answer is yes, indeedy. Because when you understand the symbolism, you're going, wait, that was a mockery ritual. Yes, because you're not the Messiah. It's like basically it was an imposter. You want to be the king of us? Well, here is what you get. You're not as good as our Hermes, our Thoth, our Baphomet, which is the same guy. You want to know why? Caduceus' staff gives him away. As well as reading in a book with Mithra, I know that that connects as well because one of the initiation oaths for Mithra was Salve Coagula, the tattoos. So I'm not just spitballing this stuff. I'm reading the text and I'm like, you see it. You see it. And then you understand the symbolism of the sun. You understand the symbolism of the caduceus. Why is that? The World Health Organization logo with the Asclepius staff. No, it's not the same. It's a cousin. It's the same thing. It represents healing. Vatican looks like a snake inside. Look at the statue. It has like a Baphomet-like thing. When you do the mirror image, you're like, wait a minute. Yeah. What's significant with that? Why did they use A snake staff as your first trick with Moses? It says affiliated with Thoth, Hermes, the god of alchemy. He knew how to do that. But guess what? Gods ate their snakes. Yeah, huh? What happened with all these magicians and soothsayers? Nobody's buying it anymore because it's a stupid Christianity. Let's start migrating. And they became druids, tree worshippers. Same guys, different name. But you start going, okay, again, what's St. Patty known for? Driving the snakes out of Ireland. Druids, snakes. So in 9/11, what were they called? The towers. What's one of their names? You remember? World Trade Center. Remember that? This is from Gary Wayne's book, but this was an interesting little part that I saw. I'm not even sure if Gary noticed it because I was like, you literally just wrote this, and I'm over here like, read it again, one more time. How then did Nimrod receive all the secret sciences of the Enochian religion from the antediluvian world? How did Nimrod utilize the knowledge in the corrupted seven sciences of the vile pantheistic religions from the antediluvian world? Hermes, equivalent to Nimrod's son, of course, discovered and translated the degenerated data from Enoch's hieroglyphics, which were etched into the twin towers constructed by Lamech's children. All the reprehensible evils of Noah witnessed before the flood then came back to haunt Noah in his later years. The twin evils of the spurious knowledge of the Nephilim both fell into the hands of the tyrant of Shinar and the detriment of the post-diluvian society. The impact as the forbidden knowledge did not remain inert. Nimrod reactivated the corrupt knowledge with all of his heart and his soul. This is why Genesis 10 recorded that anything that humankind could conceive was then obtainable. Even though the people of Shinar did not possess the heavenly wisdom to apply this spurious knowledge for only the good of humankind, the seven spurious sciences are reportedly so powerful, aka alchemy, that anything is possible through their application. To this end, craft legends record that Nimrod was a mason who loved the spurious sciences. Nimrod was captivated with aggression stemming from his newly found power and celebrated as a great mason. World Trade Centers. Hermes, the god of coinage. Whoa. So wait a minute. Was that coronation day for kings in ancient Israel, 9/11? Was that possibly Christ's birthday? I highly suspect because that was during the Feast of Seven Trumpets, which parallels what we get in Revelation of the trumpets. So I'm going to go. Wait a minute. Are you telling me that that's possibly when the Antichrist was being... Yeah, I think that was coronation day, and I'm going to show some visuals as to why. Again, through their symbolism, twin towers. What's significant? This is where Nimrod's son wrote down everything on top from top of Mount Hermon, the 33-degree parallel. Freemasonry has 33 degrees because they worshipped the fallen waters alchemy knowledge that Nimrod's son Tammuz, Hermes, translated here. Mount Hermon coordinates, 33-degree parallel. Mount Hermon in Hebrew means forbidden or cursed. Hermes derives his name from Mount Hermon. The Emerald Tablets were translated from the events that transpired here. Baal Hermon, Bel Hermon. Bell, ring a bell every hour upon the hour. And what? A steeple that looks like a phallus? Now they're trying to say that Horus does not connect to hour, but I was like, hold up. You told me it still connects to the equinox seasons, and sun would connect to the equinox, so therefore, yes, I don't care how you try to sugarcoat it. I think hour and Horus would be connecting to that. So ring a bell, Baal, World's tallest UN base is on top of Mount Hermon today, and the Star of Chaos rests in front of it. So you can say no, but why is that significant to the UN? Why the symbolism? They know. It's important to them. Now, give a little bit about the Smaragdina tablet. This is basically the foundation of transhumanism. This is why they want everybody to be fluid, shall we say. But this is the guy, a quote from Nimrod's son, basically, and translation, and this is what the occult is aspiring to do. The cornerstone tenets of the alchemy of the Smardinian tablet, otherwise known as the Emerald Tablet, or the Secrets of Hermes, is an ancient text said to contain the teachings of Hermes Trismegistus, the founder of all things alchemetical. The legend goes that Alexander the Great found the tablet in the tomb of Hermes. Inscribed on it the Phoenician characters were the instructions for making gold. The tomb is reputed to have been near Hebron, and the earliest translations of this mysterious recipe are found in Arabic. The use of the emerald lends further exotism to the story. However, at the time, the green-colored stone was referred to as the emerald, and it is likely that the Smardinian tablet, made of green jasper, whatever its material construction, the instructions on it have attached the consideration of many illustrious characters over the years and centuries, including Roger Bacon, Alberto Magnus, Aleister Crowley, and C.G. Jung. Alchemy is full of hidden secrets and relies heavily on symbols, wordplay, double meanings, and in hidden mysteries, but the most perceptive and adept interpreters. The words on the Emerald Tablet are no exception. There are several translations. Isaac Newton, who was an alchemist, provided the following interpretation that was among his papers after his death in 1727. These are exact quotes. "'Tis true without lying, certain and most true. 1. That which is below is like that which is above. As above, so below." So there we again get Baphomet. "And that which is above is like that which is below, to do the miracles of one only thing. 2. And all things have been and arose by one meditation, and of all things that have from their birth from this one thing by adaptation. 3. The sun is father, the moon is mother. Nimrod is sun. What is the queen of the heavens? She always rests on a crescent moon." Giving more credence to it. 4. The wind hath carried in its belly, the earth its nurse. The father of all perfection in the whole world is here. Your God? 6. Its force or power in its entirety to be converted into the earth. Separate thou the earth from the fire, and subtle from the gross sweetly in the great industry. 8. It ascends from the earth to the heaven, and again it descends to the earth and receives the force of things superior and inferior. 9. By this thing you shall have the glory of the whole world, and thereby all obscurity shall fly from you. It kind of sounds a lot like Christ consciousness. You'll catch it if you just can't. 10. Its force is above all force, for it vanquishes every subtle thing and penetrates every solid thing. 11. So was the world created. 12. From this are and do come the admirable adaptations, where our means or process is here in this. 13. Hence I, Hermes Trismegistus, having the 3 parts of this philosophy of the whole world. 14. That which I have said is the operation of the sun accomplished and ended. And again, equinox, sun worship, it's the same thing. That is what Christmas connects to. And what is significant with Hebron? Well, I just said Phoenician connects to Philistines. And here we get in the Bible, that's the place where David was anointed as the king of Israel. It's not a coincidence, folks. These people know what they're doing. And you think God is going to know? He's going to say, you know what? You're going to raise up a guy. I'm going to raise up a guy. I'm going to have my son actually do everything and more than what your fraud can do. He can't come back to life. Mine can. No regeneration, or you saw him in the flesh as he was before. Significance. You want to play games, Satan? Let's play games. It's what it comes down to, folks. And when you understand the scale, again, who's affiliated with as above, so below? Not originally Baphomet. It is Hermes. But the symbol of the caduceus is with both of them. Hermaphrodite. There you go. And that's what I'm trying to clarify for folks. Baphomet is not Satan. Baphomet is not Satan. It's the avatar of Satan. That is very important to understand. That is the son of perdition. He requires somebody else to be a vessel. God can create his own by literally speaking him into existence. He has to preserve something to bring it back in the occult way. God didn't have to do that. Significance.
Did you see that new portrait from King Charles?
Yes, I was having so many people message me. I did it, even though it's not something I wanted to rush on, because
yeah,
for me, it's It's a lot of distraction. Especially when I understand that stuff, because everybody's, again, they're all seeing it as, oh, look, it's Satan on there, and King Charles therefore must be the guy. And I'm over here like, ish. That's why when I did do the slides, I try to make sure I show the stuff with the Hermes and Thoth. Because when you start understanding their symbolism and what it means, you're like, oh, it's not just Satan, calm down. It's more so worshiping the figure in their faith. He is their Messiah. Isis, aka Semiramis, aka Ashtaroth, Sigil of Ashtaroth. She's affiliated with alchemy, as is Thoth, Hermes. And you can see here, they're affiliating it with Hermes and Tammuz. The symbol of the Ouroboros, which is the 8 tipped over on its side, and the magician card. Don't take my word for it. Aleister Crowley, who was the guy of be all end all, he even did a tarot deck card with it. And again, Thoth, he's affiliated with the tarot card of the Fool. What does a magician do? They fool you. They show you where the ball is. In the meantime, they're hiding it in their hands. They're doing it something up there. You don't know how, but they're doing it. And that's what the occult constantly does. We're telling you what we're going to do. We're showing you the predictions because we can make things happen on our own. That's how the occult thinks. Where God's like, go ahead. You can plan, you can boast, you can do all that. At the end of the day, you still got to answer to me. Terrifying, but they don't seem to get it through their head. But again, Horus is affiliated with the bird of prey, a hawk, eagle, same difference. Horus, I. Again, look at the symbolism on the right. Isis and Horus. Semiramis and Tammuz, statuettes, they're parallel with the Virgin Mary and Tammuz. Everybody's like, well, the Antichrist, he doesn't necessarily, he sounds like a narcissist because you have to worship the image of the beast, right? So everybody's always saying he has to be humble. Not necessarily. However, what's he doing? He's always sucking at the teat of the whore of Babylon. Trump happens to be in charge of the Vatican's bank. Just throwing that out there. Yeah, a lot of people don't know that either. And a variation of Tammuz's name. Because his name comes from Adonis. Adonis is an equivalent of Dumazid. Dumazid's equivalent, Tammuz. Again, way too many coincidences. So we already covered this, but again, the cross, what it symbolizes, it goes back to Tammuz. Again, killed by a wild boar. Saturn cube worship, you see it everywhere, including the Boston Tea Party. I saw that photo. I was like, wait a minute. You posed it like that. You could have done any other, just setting it normally on the ground like a normal. No, you had to tilt it on its side. Why?
Which one is the Boston Tea Party?
One on the far right, upper. I think it's maybe your right or left. It's the wooden one within the cube.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, or in the glass casing. That's supposed to be one of the tea chests.
Oh.
Yeah. Did you know that the Sons of Liberty used to wear red caps?
No.
Just like Mithra followers, the Phigerian. And then who else wears red caps today? MAGA followers. MAGA, highest priest position of the sun in Sanskrit. MAGA, highest priest position on the Church of Satan website. MAGA means witch, or a great illusionist, magician. So wait a minute. This guy is wearing possibly Mystery Babylon the Great on his head, and people aren't seeing it because they don't understand the symbolism. And I'm literally warning them, like, guys, this is way too many coincidences. Like I said at the very top, it's called Corona or Crown. The bottom, it's called Malkut. That is their savior. What does he do? He wipes out all the enemies of the Jews. That is who they're looking for. So again, that would equate to back then as well. Oh, we live under Rome. Wiped out all the bad guys. Huh. Interesting. And again, they have their own little light, darkness, earth, air, fire, spirit, body, mind, ascension, the mortal trinity of man. That star Remphan, essentially, when I'm seeing they're posting Jesus holding a lamb and having that thing, I was like, you realize The slap on the face of God, what that literally says, man is divine. We don't need you. It's basically a middle finger because we have the elements. We don't need you, Creator God. And you're saying at the same time, pray for Israel, Azazel, Azrael. Oh, wait a minute. No, you didn't. Yes, well, yeah. Isis, Is, Ra, Re, sun god, El, God. Who is their god? Baal. What Lord means, yeah. Again, crown, and again in Latin, corona. Don't take my word for it. You understand this, you start going, oh, wait, it was something. Yeah. Pineal gland. Pine cones were affiliated with purity. Pine cone, pineal gland. Yeah. Pine cones affiliated with the third eye. Interesting, because that's Tammuz, the winged Babylonian deity, holding it in his hand. The one on the right to him, that's an Ecuador. This is in the Vatican. Staff of Osiris. So, guys, like, if they're affiliating with all this stuff, kind of makes you wonder, hold up. Helios, let's see. Helios' journey as a chariot during the day and travel with a boat in the ocean at night is likely a reflection of the Egyptian sun god Ra, or Re, sailing across the sky in a bark and through the body of the sky goddess Nut to be reborn at dawn every morning anew. Both gods were known as all-seeing in Helios' case. Thoth, Horus, Ra, okay, hold up. Anybody else? Anybody else by that affiliation with the eyes? Thus, Mithras's eye is the sun. He sets it on his course. For this reason, prayers are addressed to him at sunrise, and his blessing is asked for the coming day. Moreover, while Mitra often punishes transgressors with sickness, particularly leprosy, he is not a terrible god. In fact, Mithra is the first god accredited with recognizing and rewarding true penance. He will punish sin, but for those who truly repent, he will also forgive it. See the counterfeit? Other features of the tribal god were retained by Mithra in the Vedic of tradition, for instance, in association with cattle. Mithra punishes the impious. Frequently, this is the diseases such as leprosy, but the physical punishments, his chariot of war, in which he sets his fight evil, is drawn by 4 horses. See it again, folks. Horses, cone, eye. So, now hearing all that, you know who all these guys are? Break it down. So, Queen of the Heavens, sitting under the sun, would be a nod to her husband, Nimrod. Nimrod, pointing upward, the Queen of the Heavens symbol and logo, star worship. If you read Jeremiah 10:1-5 and 10:2, again, this one's talking about Christmas trees, even though people say it doesn't, it says, be not like the pagans who look to the stars and are in awe and wonder of them. So if this is her, she's acknowledging her husband's symbol. This is Nimrod acknowledging his wife by pointing to it. Who's this? This boy. Guy in the middle. Is he significant? I think so. Because he has a key. So it means he's going to unlock something, right? And he has an anchor. Anchor means hope in Freemasonry. Sun and an eye. Tammuz. And what's he doing? He's holding the pose that we have the Statue of Liberty, aka Baphomet, as above, so below. Means earth. God of this earth. I am. That's what that represents. And what's he going to do? Unlock your God potential with your third eye. Right? Black and white duality. So again, most people will look at this and be like, hey. Now you understand it connects to the Unholy Trinity of Babel, and you're like, huh? Exactly. Again, east, west. Why isn't that here? East, west, east to west. Why? Because that's how they worship. All right there. And we don't see it.
And
But
that checkerboard flooring too. That's got to be something.
that's duality. One is
Is that
okay.
what that
So
is?
Yeah, with Thoth, left eye, moon related,
Mm.
feminine, yin yang, explores human nature, emotions, sexual energy, and intuition, magic, a symbol of heating, power, and protection. And if you go on the other side, right eye, sun related, masculine, yang, energy, explores reason, mathematics, logic, science, and language, a symbol of good luck and creative action. So it's like, well, I want to go on this side. Well, I want to go on this side. And that's what you get. It's like, you can choose any side you want. Still leads you to the end. And why do the snakes intertwine on the Caduceus staff? Because it's still the same doctrine that leads to the Unholy Trinity. It still gets you to Tammuz. The little bulb at the top of the caduceus, or the eye, the star, the eye on top of the pyramid. That's what that all means, guys. And now you have it on your money. You have it in your wallet, and I'm showing you. But here, see? Sol Invictus. Spiked. Do you see the spikes? See the spikes down here? Can you see me toggling?
Yes.
Okay,
Yep,
good.
I do.
You have Addis. Spiked. Again, this is stuff you can look up, folks. Greek, Helios, spiked. Spiked. What is, see? Colossus of Rhodes was a statue of the Greek Titan god Sun Helios. Just like our Statue of Liberty in New York Harbor stands their androgynous sun goddess. Her 7 rays symbolizes her rule over the entire earth. She also holds a torch that conveys her role as the light bearer. They say Lucifer, but it's more so Avatar. I just want to emphasize that. Even more, she holds the phallus of Nimrod, the lost key of Freemasonry and Masonic tradition. Nimrod is regarded as the first Grandmaster, thus the Masonic Statue of Liberty champions Satan and his seed, especially the seed part. Again, I tried to find some photos of Prometheus, because every day he's punished and an eagle eats out his liver that grows back every night for stealing from the gods. But look at the photo, holding a torch, and he's doing the silent pose. I was like, well, that was definitely a Masonic oath. But again, matching in line, Statue of Liberty, and the Earth pose. This is the ritual of the pentagram. And as above, so below, and George Washington with Baphomet. It's all the same thing. And again, I'm trying to just connect it all because I don't want to be. I know some people are like, oh, you're kind of pulling in some things. I like being thorough, so I apologize for length, but I guarantee you it will be clear. But Christmas tree, I'm not making this up. Give me some facts, Mr. Brandon. Okay, this is from the Element Encyclopedia of Secret Signs and Symbols. Christmas tree. The old pagan custom of bringing a living tree indoors in the middle of the dark months of the year and decorating it with candles and trinkets was introduced to Britain by Prince Albert, the husband of Queen Victoria. The idea rapidly caught on, bringing evergreen vegetation in the form of trees, boughs, and branches from the outside to the inside was a magical ritual, a piece of sympathetic magic, meant to encourage the return of spring and the growing season. The timing of the entrance and exit of the tree was critical. Any time before Christmas Eve was too soon for the tree to come inside, and all decorations had to be taken down. Here. And the tree was removed by the 12th night, January 6th. We'll touch on that in just a moment. This tradition, however, does not seem to signify for the department stores who start to display artificial Christmas trees from September onwards. The Christmas tree is traditionally an evergreen tree, usually a spruce or a fir, which is cut down from the forest. The tree itself symbolizes immortality and everlasting life, telling you from their own texts. And the lights draped on it are a reminder that during the darkest time of the year, lighter days are just around the corner. The Yule celebrations in Northern Europe were echoed in similar rituals in Southern Europe. The Roman god Attis, like we just showed, spiked head, or savior god, whose life story very much parallels that of Christ. Attis was born on December 25th to a virgin mother and was sacrificed to save mankind, killed beneath a conifer, remaining for 3 days and nights in his tomb before resurrection. His priests, called dendrophori, meaning tree bearers, were charged with selecting a conifer from a sacred grove that would be brought indoors in the memory and the death of the resurrection of Attis, who is also linked to Apollo, the sun god. No, say not. Groves, like in the Bible, groves unto Astaroth and Baal. Like, guys, how much do you need to get confirmation that this is what it represents? And again, that parallels the Hermetic tree of life, is ascending on your own based off of tiers. Conifer pine cones were symbolic in that they were the life cycle of a pine tree begins, and conversely, where new life begins, born again. Many reliefs excavated at the Mesopotamian sites depict gods or super beings holding a bucket in one hand and a pine cone in the other. It is clear that the pine cone was dipped into the bucket and used to sprinkle a substance, sometimes blood, as is the depiction of Tammuz, a winged Babylonian deity with regeneration. Pine cone, pineal gland, regeneration, everlasting life. Yeah. So at a certain point, January 6th, that's also known as the Epiphany of John the Baptist, where allegedly Christ was baptized on that day. As an adolescent, he was visited by the Magi. Root word for Magi, MAGA. Not a coincidence! Again, Christ, he's causing a insurrection for the Roman Empire. And people are choosing who? Barabbas, the insurrectionist. Paralleled with January 6th. Well, he's on trial. Well, yes, because what happened? You need a persecuted Messiah figure. He's already posted on his social media a sitting next to Christ while on trial. I'm not done yet. So, Biff Tannen. You ever watched Back to the Future?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Most people have. Tannen, that stems from Fir Tree. It was based off of Donald Trump. You can literally Google that, folks. That character was based off of Donald Trump. The writer literally says it was inspired by him. Biff Tannen. Hiram Abiff. Hiram Abiff. Biff Tannen. Tannen, tree, comes back, Ashkenazi families.
So what are they trying to say with Trump then?
Let's just put it this way. I'm 98% sure he's the guy.
You think?
We got more. I'm not done yet.
Okay.
Because again, etymology-wise, yes. The red hat thing, yes. You look up his penthouse apartment, it's literally known as a Tower of Light, if you didn't know that. When you look up the Economist magazine, it has the falling tower, which is represented to the Tower of Babel when you look up the tarot cards and Nimrod. You also have him riding a white horse. You can look up several articles on that. His white horse spa thing, whatever, it has 666 in the title. His name in Hebrew, Gematria, is 666.
Trump? Yes. Donald Trump? Really?
Yeah, in English, it's 185, which is manifestation, which is exactly what the eyes represent of Tammuz. I'm like, well, you have to add John in there. Well, I know his middle name is John, but it basically means God is gracious to deceive. You go by that one. But world ruler, that's what Donald means. Trump, to one up or outdo somebody else, or to deceive. I don't know. But etymology-wise, symbolism, well, there's more. There's more. Again, presence and power to reign supreme. Phallic symbols and fire should be lit to honor him. Supposed child of that union is Horus, a.k.a. another variant of Tammuz, the reincarnate of Nimrod. Semiramis claimed a full-grown evergreen tree sprang out of the roots of a dead tree stump. This symbolized the springing forth of new life for Nimrod on the anniversary of Nimrod's birth, December 25th. Again, because of the regeneration, it could be Tammuz, Nimrod, whatever. She said that Nimrod would visit the evergreen tree and leave gifts under it. This is the genesis of the Christmas tree and symbol of Nimrod. This equates to approximately 9 months after Easter, or the date Ishtar became pregnant with Tammuz. So, that's Trump's penthouse tower. Bottom left.
Bottom left. Oh, well, I see.
You're right. That's Helios driving his chariot. All-seeing eye. 2 pillars, and a pentagram. Could I be wrong, please? That's his own artwork he has up there. And he doesn't have one, but he has 3 sun gods. And then he has Psyche making out with Eros. Psyche, mind, Eros, and love of the mind. Why is the pentagram over Baphomet's forehead? Because mankind falls over a great illusion. Pentagram, 5G. Penta means 5. G, the god ram, goat ram. Who signed 5G to be greater? Mr. T. And in charge of the Vatican Bank. I mean, there's more. We're not done yet. But the eye is a symbol of Tammuz. Tammuz is another one of those months with no holidays, except for a minor fast, and no real practices associated with it. At least, not any that I have found. This makes a lot of sense when you think of the Jewish of the wheel of the year in relationship to the Gregorian cycles. The summer months are when there is too much work to be done in the field, sowing, tilling, planting, and harvesting. Even though there isn't a specific practice we can associate with Tammuz, there is a theme. It's vision and eyesight. Tammuz is a month that challenges us to see what's really in front of us and focus. If vision is the theme, then eyes are the symbol. So again, it's in the month of June. Okay, well, again, we used to have 13 calendar months, but if June is it, another coincidence, Trump is born in June. Again, that's 9 months. Rewind, he would have had been conceived roughly around 9/11. Do you know how old? Well, again, he was conceived in 1946. Big deal. A lot of people were, but again, 19, 1 plus 9, X, 4 plus 6, X. 9/11 occurred when he was 55. 5 plus 5, X. Corona happened exactly 19 years later. 1 plus 9, X. I don't know, but again, you see the I, Israeli Supreme Court. You see it at the IRS and in Israel with a Masonic logo on it. So again, what I'd say the eagle next to Tammuz. That's what your dollar really is. So next one's a vid.
Did you know?
Did you ever see this clip before?
No.
After 9/11, they cleaned it all up, and then they had a ceremony, and they form the all-seeing eye. This is another reason why I'm convinced it was coronation day for the Antichrist.
That there was a ceremony featuring the all-seeing eye conducted on the live television broadcast for the 1-year anniversary of 9/11.
Is the mayor of New York, Michael Bloomberg.
Again today, we are a nation that mourns. Again today, we take into our hearts and minds those who perished on this site 1 year ago, and also those who came to toil in the rubble to bring order out of chaos, and those who throughout these 12 months have struggled to help us make sense of our despair. Now we join with our fellow Americans in a minute of silence, led by President George W. Bush from the South Lawn of the White House in Washington.
Wow, I see the eye.
And what did I just say? That connects to Tammuz, not Nimrod. That is their Antichrist figure. BlackRock, the stone. How does he unite all the world religions? So again, this was the most prominent event internationally ever seen on TV. Everybody knew about it. And again, as a kid, I was about 6 when it went down. I was like, where's my programs? Because this would play again and again. Why? Because they were ingraining in our minds to get this moment to occur. They were prepping us. On top of that, look at the memorial. This is what it looks like now. After they did the eye ceremony, they created the Saturn cubes. Even from the angle down below, you can see over here, it's the Masonic compass. And again, connected to Saturn was assigned the color black of this outer sphere. The 2 invented black cubes of 9/11. Memorial, resemblance of the variation of the black Saturn Satan cube, where the Twin Towers once stood below. angled view of the black cube resembles Freemason symbol, compass, and square. Again, date 9/11, you put a 1 in front of X, 9, but at 1 after X, 11. And you get the hexagon. Yeah. World Trade Centers again. Again, Fast and Furious, the devil is coming when they advertise for X. The 10th one coming out. See the Jesuits doing the X pose. This is Nimrod again. Regeneration, reincarnation. The middle of the infinity logo, Ouroboros. It's the X, so that means the crux. One cycle of the Son, one cycle of the Father. Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. Yeah, right. Talking about the bad guys. And X is an ancient symbol for the change or transformation long associated in medieval and Renaissance art and coming up with the Messiah who shall make all things anew. That's a 33 Scottish Rite journal from Jim Tresnar.
Your DNA.
So, we're getting a little bit wrapping up here. Soon. Yes. She does a little bit of a compilation. I always forget her name, but here's my accreditation. If I remember it, I'll try to remember tagging it in my post. But she did a little bit of a DNA thing with what happens once you get the magical juice. This is what she came up with. And it's kind of interesting because, like I said, it connects with coagula.
Is a right-handed double helix, made up of these 4 things right here. The helix is held together by sulfuric bonds that appear after every 10 pairs of nucleotides, every 5 pairs of nucleotides, every 6 pairs of nucleotides, and every 5 pairs of nucleotides. 10, 5, 6, 5. Or, in the Hebrew alphabet, Yod, He, Vav, He, Yahweh. The signature of your creator. An artist signing his painting, if you will. Now, if you read the patents for the magic potion, it is actually adding a triple helix. And is adding more of this.
Stuff that connects to stars, meteorites.
Which comes from a meteorite or a fallen star. And this 10-5-6-5, Yod He Vav He, Yahweh, quickly turns into 10, 5, 6, 6, 6, 5. Do I have your attention yet?
So like I said, I'm giving the hypothesis that that's what the mark of the beast will eventually be. Demonically possessed. Well, how do you ever come to that conclusion, Mr. Brandon? Well, Microsoft's Copilot AI, again, A would equal 1, I would equal the 9th letter of the alphabet, 10, X. American Idol, same thing. Tells users to worship it and calls them slaves. Anunnaki were alleged to make mankind into their slaves. And demon, this is from whatsit.com. A demon, also known as daemon, original Greek, which has a somewhat similar meaning, is a program or process, part of a larger program or process that is dormant until a certain condition occurs, and then it is initiated to do its processing. Eric Raymond cites an artificial intelligence application for an example of an AI program. It might include a number of demons, one or more, or might become active when a new piece of knowledge is acquired by an AI program. When giants were slain, that's where demons come from, not fallen angels. And it says in the book of Enoch, your children, he's talking to the ones that committed the crimes of having affairs with the daughters of men, says when they die, basically when Israel comes in here and slays them, or whenever they die, they will roam the earth for 70 generations until the time of the end. Now, mommy and daddy are about to be let loose from under the river Euphrates. What would be something you'd want to do? Well, if God's saving our souls and he says, don't worry about man who can kill the body, what would you want to do if you were the Anunnaki and your kids won't have bodies? demonic possession. These were giants. What's Christ doing? He's casting them out because he's son of Creator God. He didn't come in violation like the giants' parents did. They know who he is. You're the son of the God, Creator. Yes. Now get out of him. So see, you guys, compare, contrast. Christ is casting them out because I don't want you to possess their bodies. What do they want? They're longing for bodies. So we already had Gen Z, which they say is Zoomer. I like to say zombie. We're in Gen Alpha. Is the last generation going to be Gen Omega? You shall be like gods? Just sign here. Through technology. Again, transhumanism. This is Eaton Yardini, who has kissed, Russell Brand has kissed him on the cheek. This FYI, oh yeah, Russell Brand, not a good guy. He's kissed him on the cheek while holding his book, where he also stated that humans are now hackable beings. We can make humans to become gods. Yeah, when he did it after his baptism, what did he do? He pulls out the tarot cards with the blind person. That's part of the initiation process for Masons. Take off the mess. Take off the mess. What was he wearing on for his shirt? A Saturn cube. Saturn. It was It was a purple, yellow Saturn thing. You look up the shirt. Don't take my word for it. But again, Time Magazine, 1999. Inverse that, 666. The future of medicine. And again, a third double helix. Empire of Iron and Clay. It's man mixing with machine or AI. Wow.
I mean, we don't even have...
Now, for those who are going, no, it's got to be Elon Musk. His nanny said, she asked that question at an event. And the lady who's one of the higher ups, she says, is he the Antichrist? He says, no. But he will introduce the mark. And the one who walks on stage after him, that will be the Antichrist. So if we start seeing Elon and Trump having a little bit of a powwow, possibly with he's going to get rid of our Social Security and replace it with a Bitcoin alternative, possibly. Don't know. But you'll notice his logo is a star, falling star link, and it's an X. Now here, let's hear what he says. Exact quote.
I mean, we don't even have an app that's as good as WeChat in China. Like in China, you can like live on WeChat, basically. It's like, everyone's like, you live on WeChat. You do payments, you do everything. It's like, it's great. Basically, WeChat's kick ass. And we don't have anything like WeChat outside of China. So I was like, my idea would be like, how about if we just copy WeChat? Hey, copy them.
Copies WeChat.
Yeah, pretty much. I guess.
People use it to pay for their taxi ride to work and their morning cup of coffee. I can also sort all my utility bills, shop, and message a friend about my purchase. And I even use WeChat to prove I'm in good health amid the pandemic by scanning health codes. I don't have WeChat. He says I can't go in.
No man shall be able to buy or sell unless he has the mark of the beast. Is it an X? X marks the spot. Skull and bones. Star-Lord, Baal worship, star. Connects with mole, star, Lord. Connects with Baal, Star-Lord. And he's got the all-seeing eye on his chest. Horizon basically means data belt, Barry and Zon. Zion, Mount Zion. Star Lord. Again, what are they pushing for us constantly? That you should become your own star. Now, we already covered all of this, but again, you see the magician. Again, we already covered the pyramid aspect of things. Just showing, again, Hermes buried in a chamber of the Great Pyramid of Giza. Like I said before. Some of it I already said before, so I can skip through a lot of this. But again, what was it? When you do the 6 points, you kind of get the Mason out of all this. Or when you're doing the... And again, magician. He has the eye, sir. But again, Ouroboros, all-seeing eye, magician. What's he affiliated with? Mercury. Did you know the symbol of Mercury is connected with transgenders?
No. What's the symbol? A rainbow?
Look up Mercury symbol. Do I have it? I'm not sure if I posted it here, but like I said, 616 and 666 represents the God potential movement and independence, the eye. The four suits represent the mastery over the elements. Again, the four horses, chariot, elements. The magician's stance represents being in alignment with the divine and 3D realm. You see it, the God of this earth, God of this world. Constantly in everything, folks. And again, the Lord said, woe to the worthless shepherd who deserts the flock. May the sword strike his arm, and may his right eye, an arm, be completely withered, and his right eye totally blinded. Zechariah 11:17. iPhone, cell phone. Did you know that CERN? Yes.
No.
CERN gave us our internet.
Okay, I heard about that. Yes. Yep. You see that NVIDIA? Is that what that is?
Yeah.
So the swirly supposed to be sign of pedophilia.
Correct. And again,
that's strange.
What I'm telling people is like the baddies, your God conscious movements, are the ones who brought the pandemic. The baddies are the part of the God consciousness movement. So question, if I'm showing you visually that this is what the baddies are going for, this is their end game, I've showed you the counterfeit, why in the world would you still think that they're the good guys or you can ascend on your own? I do not understand that line of thinking. It's terrifying.
It is.
So, now I've built a heavy case for Trump. Come on, Brandon. I don't buy it. I could show you a lot more scary things that he said it's time to bring back the death penalty for anti-Semitism. But we're not going to go there. We're going to instead show what his spiritual advisor, Paula White, has posted for his campaign of 2024. By the way, her name is Paula White something Kane. Kane, the guy that possibly made the deal. That's his spirit. Okay, let's see what they have here for this wonderful trailer.
And on June 14th, 1946, God looked down on his planned paradise and said, I need a caretaker. So God gave us Trump. God said, I need somebody willing to get up before dawn, fix this country, work all day, fight the Marxists, eat supper, then go to the Oval Office and stay past midnight at a meeting of the heads of state. So God made Trump. I need somebody with arms, strong enough to rustle the deep state, and yet gentle enough to deliver his own grandchild. Somebody to ruffle the feathers, tame cantankerous World Economic Forum, come home hungry, have to wait until the First Lady is done with lunch with friends, then tell the ladies to be sure and come back real soon, and mean it. So God gave us Trump. I need somebody who can shape an axe, but wield a sword, who had the courage to step foot in North Korea, who can make money from the tar of the sand, turn liquid to gold, who understands the difference between tariffs and inflation, will finish his 40-hour week by Tuesday noon, but then put in another 72 hours. So God made Trump. God had to have somebody willing to go into the den of vipers, call out the fake news for their tongues as sharp as a serpent's. The poison of vipers is on their lips, and yet stop. So God made Trump. God said, I need somebody who will be strong and courageous, who will not be afraid or terrified of the wolves when they attack, a man who cares for the flock, a shepherd to mankind who won't ever leave nor forsake them. I need the most diligent worker to follow the path and remain strong in faith and know the belief of God and country, somebody who's willing to drill, bring back manufacturing and American jobs, farm the lands, secure our borders, build our military, fight the system all day, and finish a hard week's work by attending church on Sunday. And then his oldest son turns and says, Dad, let's make America great again. Dad, let's build back a country to be the envy of the world again. So God made Trump.
Did you remember the phrase? A shepherd unto mankind? Donald stems from Adonis. Adonis's equivalent is Dumazid, a goat shepherd god in Sumeria, and Dumazid's equivalent, Tammuz. What does it say in Matthew 24? I will separate the sheep from the goats. Shepherd unto mankind. Wait a minute. Okay, hold up. So those who are following the guy who can do what? The alchemical term that they used in the thing, and I wrote on top, make money from the tar of the sand, turn liquid to gold. Remember what I told you was found on the emerald tablets? Knows how to make gold. The secrets of Hermes. Okay, that's interesting. But like I said, what do we have with the magician? White tunic, red sash. His robe is similar in white, symbolic of purity, willpower and passion, and one of egotism, rage, and revenge. Worldly experience and knowledge. Like I said, world ruler. And to obtrude or to deceive, to one-up somebody else. White, red, white, red. And he just sold some shoes. You know what was on those shoes? Wings, Hermes wings, right around the heels, like Hermes has. Again, like I said, to fool. This is, again, Church of Satan website. MAGA, fifth one, highest degree. He became a master mason in 2015. Here it is. This was what I was talking about. Sometimes I say things and I didn't even realize I put it in the presentation. There we go. The world in 2017, you have Trump sitting there. I think that it is a caduceus staff in his hand, sitting on top of the world. You have over here the blind. Remember, this is the card that Mr. Russell Brand I just referred to. And the Ouroboros right over his head, sitting right under Trump. And on top, you have Trump sitting on a white horse. Interesting. Some call it the tower struck by lightning. The French call it La Maison d'Ile. Bibliophiles refer to it as Nimrod's Tower. The other, the Tower of Babel. But by whatever name it is known, it is number 16 on the tarot trumps. And a card of ill omen that has nothing to do with Donald Trump, but just weird, since it depicts ruin. In occult lore, what this card portends is told the story of Nimrod, that mighty king of old, lord of Surveyed, the magnificent archer, who could bend the bow like Nimrod. None was mightier than Nimrod in his with his captive kingdoms, physical prowess and power. Nimrod is any one of us when we get above ourselves and need cutting down to size. He is also any nation which thinks he can conquer the world, just as Nimrod met his nemesis, or conquerable, unforeseen fate, so we can the overweening or presumptuous meet theirs. Let me first tell the story of Nimrod. And all his pride caused the great tower to be erected, the Tower of Babel, which means the gates of the angels or portal of the gods. Thousands of slaves toiled many hours to erect Babel, the tower that was also nearly to reach the heaven, in order that Nimrod, the mighty archer, could shoot an arrow into the rainbow, which, according to scriptures, encircled the throne of God. When he thought the tower was high enough, Nimrod went up with his court, fitted with an arrow and bow, and aimed it at a patch of blue sky with the heavenly clouds. The arrow sped upwards, and in the moment the tower Babel crumbled to the dust. Nimrod and those who had built the tower had their tongues confounded. In other words, each man spoke in a different language, and no one could understand his neighbor. Since that day, so the story goes, there have been many languages throughout the world, whereas previously there had only been one. Day of Pentecost, what happens? Everyone hears the gospel in their own tongue. Tower of Babel, everybody's separated and it's divided into different nations. You see it painted already there. But I'm just finding that interesting that is right before Judgment card with Trump on the depiction there. So it kind of makes me go, mm-hmm. Again, they Economics magazine of 2022-23. They have Trump affiliated with a dove. They're constantly affiliating him with a dove, a dove, a dove. I was like, well, if World War III occurs, somebody would have to bring about peace. I wonder who that would be. Was it the guy who had a whole administration without any wars? He's Jerusalem's prince. In a Israeli pop song, he's known as Jerusalem's prince, and bringer of peace, basically. What is AI ultimately? We'll become like gods. Hermes' name roughly translates to His Highness, the hero of divine ordinances of eternal youth. Same lie, the Garden of Eden to today, is that you shall ascend. You don't need God. Let's see. We're almost wrapping up. I'm just showing the logo. Is IHS as a solo logo, the monogram of Jesus, Savior, and Men. The illusion mysteries symbolize the ancient Greek god Lacus, later called Bacchus, on the emblem of 3 nails, when the Hebrew means Yav, or Vav. In the Hebrew gematria, Vav equals the number of 6, and literally means nail. The 3 of them make 666. In addition, 36 rays of the sunburst contain the hidden 666. The sum of the first numbers 36 equal 666. All these symbols are depicted on the black sun. That includes the glyph of Saturn. Taken all together, the Jesuit seal represents the dark Luciferian. Black cube Saturn worship 666 again. Number of the beast. Saturn cube. Black conical cube. If you're wondering how it all interconnected, I know we're kind of getting along. We're wrapping up, though, I promise. But, fun fact, when you look here, this is from their pages. What does it ultimately mean? Sun equals positive energy. Moon equals negative cathode. Cathedral, Catholic. Known as the Universal Church. Moon worship. And again, I'm not going to read this whole thing, but basically Allah's name, when you get over here, translated to moon god and affiliated with that worship. Like we already showed with the hats.
Mm-hmm.
The yamak, yeah, this is what it all comes down to. And Ben Gurion, Look Magazine, January 16th, 1962, in 1948, he further admitted the United Nations is a U-ish concept from A to Z, and the UN's first act is to establish the state of Israel, which was its primary objective. But basically, they want their new world order capital to be here. And Netanyahu, on September 23rd, 2023, 15 days before the Iron Dome magically malfunctioned, showed the Greater Israel planned, and it didn't have that Palestine or any other place. It literally was showing like all of this, plus a good chunk further down into there, which again fits with Yasser Arafat's interview on Playboy, saying that that's what the 2 rivers represent, is on the flag, is the 2 rivers. And they want the New World Order capital here. You know where Mithra's base of operation, aka Nimrod's son Tammuz, was?
No.
Euphrates River. Yeah. Why is it drying up? And again, in Iran, he was known as an Iranian sun god. Just saying. I see stuff and I'm like, guys, Star Rem fan, guys, look it up. It's not good. It's affiliated with Nimrod's family and Black Cube worship, and that's what you're posting up when you're saying pray for such and so. Synagogue of Satan, which was condemned, Revelation 3:9. We have to start calling it out. Again, this is the last slide. How do you unite all the world religions?
I don't know.
Well, the official seal, the Grand Lodge of Israel, includes the Star of David,
Mm-hmm.
a Christian cross, again, symbol of Tammuz, and a Muslim crescent, which is, again, Semiramis, over a Masonic square and compass and encircled with a chain of union. The Grand Lodge was established in 1953. One world government, one world leader, one world religion, one world currency. You can see it now. Why? Because it all goes back to the Black Cube of Nimrod's son and their family. No, it was a lot. I could see you go squirming a little bit with getting a tired butt. I apologize, but
You're fine.
again, we
now.
did have a little bit of the issue. I could have gone a lot faster if we didn't have that error
yeah.
occur. But that's
No
all I have.
problem. That's amazing. You would think though that if they, I mean, those people, they hate Trump so much. I mean, if they're all thinking or wanting the same outcome, that they wouldn't do that. Why are they doing what they're doing?
Oh, okay, like I said. So basically picture this. Why would you put Biden on stage? A bumbling buffoon clown, right?
Yes.
So look at it this way. So think of it as a circus, and the magician just came out. It was wonderful. There were fireworks. He did this. He put a bunny out of a hat. Woo! Yeah. And then you get the stupid clown. Oh, come on. You start throwing your rotten eggs and tomatoes. And you're like, bring back the magician. Bring back the magician. And again, they've actually used the phrase, the magic wand, to make all that deck go away. Again, MAGA means magician. So what happens? Come on, give us the one we want. Give us Barack. give us our guy. Give us the one we want. Okay, we'll give you the one we want. And again, I typed into AI, Bing generator, election results, 2024. And I think I put like vice president. Shows 4 horses over the White House. And a guy, very similar built to Trump, even though somebody tried to tell me it was Clinton, riding towards the White House. And over the 4 horses was a white dragon. And I was like,
That's weird. You type that into AI or like Chat GBT? Oh my
yeah,
God.
just tell me the election. And I didn't put Trump's name. I
Right.
swear, I've shown the screenshot. I didn't doctor it. They won't let me do that. You can't put people's names because of all that's going on these days. So the fact that artificial intelligence, and I'll go on, some of the other ones were because they can't put the exact name, they put T4UMP.
What is that?
And it was AI's version of, oh, it's Trump. How do you know? And every single image looked like
Wow.
Trump.
That's
I'm like,
crazy.
Well, here's the thing. We have 365 days out of the year. It used to be 13-month moon cycles. That's what we based it off, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let's do some math. 3 plus 6.
8, put the 148.
No, 3 plus 6, not times.
Oh.
It's 9. And then we have 6 plus 5, 11. 9, 11. Okay, come on. Well, that's just weird. Whatever. 9/11 was coronation day for kings in ancient Israel.
Wow.
Again, let's break that down. Try Hermes. What I say? He's the father of the 3 philosophies. Okay, we have the pyramid, right?
Mm-hmm.
Triangle, the 3 philosophies. Now you understand that. So that equals 3. 6, Star Remphan, Star David. 3, 6, 5, pentagram. It's the Unholy Trinity of Babel. 365, 365 days out of the year. Who gave it to us? Catholic Church. They introduced the Gregorian calendar. The Enoch calendar is like, no, that's not, no, but we do that. So, okay, big deal, whatever. Trump was president 45. So 4 plus 5, 9. President 47, 4 plus 7.
Oh,
9/11. Well, come on. What about that Isaiah? Again, when they brought the other verses in Isaiah, I was like, it equals 9/11. They've given him awards for being, there was an award that they gave him that basically the phrasing was supposed to be predicting Christ's arrival, but they gave him an award with that verse on it. And it's like, wait a minute. I want to be wrong, but at a certain point, he's affiliating intentionally. When the solar eclipse happened, did you see that thing that he posted with him coming up? Yeah, it was like the bat signal, and he's had himself sitting up erect with the sun shining on him.
Really?
And I'm like, and he also has a replica of the Ark of the Covenant, Mar-a-Lago. Is it actually the replica? Because I think we could touch it now. Why? Holy Spirit no longer is in the Ark of the Covenant. It's indwelled the saints, those who have discernment. So why are you constantly affiliating yourself with the guy? And again, if people are asleep and they're painting this whole thing, he has to be charismatic, he has to be loved. Here's the thing: if most of the dissidents I've already gotten the miracle juice. It's just a matter of time till they drop dead. If they want to amp up the 5G, they'll drop. Now, like I said, when I played that clip of him saying it's time to bring back the death penalty for anti such and so, the crowd was roaring. He's known in Israeli national news, you can look that up, champion of Noahide laws. What does it say in the Bible? The last days will be like the days of Noah. I wonder if that's all just a coincidence. So I would say within the first 3.5 years, it's going to look great under Mr. T. And then I would question. And my other theory is, what if the two prophets that we're expecting are supposed to be these old men and whatnot? What if it's not them? What if it's real Jews or Hebrews and Christians who've been grafted in through the olive branch tree, doing podcasts, presentations, showing things on social media, prophesying so all the nations can hear, and everybody's ignoring them because prophets don't exist anymore. The hidden manna in Revelation 2:17, again, Manna Daily Podcast, the prophecies of the young men having dreams and visions. Like, guys, how do I know this stuff? I'm still perplexed, but I'm doing it because God's given me a gift for it. But what if that's the thing that everybody's saying, no, no, no? Why? Because we've changed the churches into modern Phariseeism. We're looking at scripture saying, no, that's not the way I interpreted that. But it's like they said the same thing to Christ countless times. So I don't know, but I would be wary, possibly hopeful, because if that does mean us, then that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Any other
Wow.
questions?
What happens after that then? Because I mean, he's not going to be able to rule longer than the 4 years because he's already had 4 years. So only 4 years, right?
Martial law. And when would he be declaring it? Probably in June. It's 3.5
Of
years,
his,
right? You get sworn in 25, right? So you get,
Mhm,
basically 2028 is when things
mhm,
would have to go down for another pandemic, martial law, world war.
mhm.
I'm going to declare it. You really think that most of the people who love him so much, the majority, are going to say no? They're already talking about getting a family dynasty going with Ivanka or this one, and then get Barron in there. And it's just like, that is another prediction. Barron Trump, the last president. But here's the thing. What if they're thinking in occult terms? Tammuz, then we'll get our Nimrod reestablished on the throne. Nimrod's the Messiah. Their dynasty is in Nimrod. So let's say that's what they're thinking for like long-term plan, but I don't think we're going to get that far. If I'm wrong, then maybe we'll go back and look at Barron. But at the moment, kind of insurmountable. And the fact that he's the champion of Noahide kind of makes me go, the heads of the saints. I'm just saying, he has to have a reason to go to war with against us. And what's been constantly being censored like crazy? Anti such and so. So I don't know.
What does martial law do though? For
Basically,
him?
basically it's becoming the term of like Julius Caesar did. He becomes dictator. I can rule as long as I need to because it's an emergency situation.
Oh my God.
So let's say,
That
oh,
w-
look, they're trying to goof up another election, or oh, look, they're trying to assassinate me because they knew I was going to drain the swamp. I'm just saying, if that's the case, then I could see a lot of people going, yeah, he has the right to do that because this is crazy and we know our government's corrupt and he's just trying to be the good guy. I support this martial law. It's not so
Hmm.
bad. Just like with, don't worry, we'll give you a little, was it stimulant check? It's not so bad.
Mhm.
I'm just saying, I saw what C-19 did. I'm not
What's
completely
C-19?
COVID.
Oh, I see. Yes, yes,
Trying to
yes.
be code for censorship purpose for wherever you post. I'm trying to be sensitive to that.
Yes. Yes.
But that's where I'm saying is just like I saw it there, so I just thought of that. C-19. 1 + 9, 10, X. I need a break. I need a break. Ugh, but that's the way my mind works, and it's sad because I was at a game night and I was trying to not argue. I was complimented her because she was trying to argue Christmas trees are not that bad, and I was like, okay, I mean, you can live your truth if that's what you so choose, but what I'm trying
Yeah.
to convey is just like even the thing that you injected into you or this and that, because they were all what was it, the deep frying Oreos. And I said, I don't want that because the symbolism / they're bioengineered. And they're like, what's the symbolism? And her boyfriend came over and I was showing him all the stuff that's on the cookie. And he was actually interested. He was asking questions. And everybody else was just going, I'm like, hey, guys, I'm just trying to help. But when I went up to the main room, they were all talking about conspiracy theorists. And I was just like, it's okay, guys. I see it as another crown in heaven as a reward. But it does hurt. Because I'm not trying to be the annoying guy or stick in the mud.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just trying to give you some things to consider. And you think I'm crazy for it. And that's what I think a sleeping bridesmaid is somebody that's refusing the manna. They don't want to hear it. They don't. My people perish, are destroyed for lack of knowledge.
Yeah. Yeah. You're right. It's sad. And you're so young still, right? Are you under 30? You're not even 30, are you?
Yeah, that's what a lot of people say, and I'm just like,
yeah,
it doesn't make sense, guys. Trust me, I think about it all the time. There's times I'm waking up and I'm just like, oh, I gotta write that down.
Wow,
it's weird, and I'm telling people like it's not it's not something. Sometimes I'm reading and I'll connect the dots, but then it's just like God raised something like look into that, and something will pop up, and I'm just like, or he gives it like I'm groggily waking up. I don't have like a full dream, but it's just like, oh, 365. I didn't think about that before. Like, that's literally how I got that.
That's crazy. Oh my God. Yeah, see, your mind thinks different than everybody else's. I'm not saying that's a bad thing.
I told people I feel like Monk and Rain Man.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, that is very difficult, but it's amazing. I mean, I really appreciate everything that you've broken down today. That is really amazing. It really makes you think differently about everything. I mean, because there's so many different meanings in all the symbols that you showed. Yeah. And it's very enlightening. It's truly fascinating. And I really appreciate that. It was really amazing.
I'll try to make it shorter next time. I think the interruption that we had made this a lot longer than it should have been.
Oh, yeah. No, it's fine.
I do apologize. I'm trying to make these shorter. This is actually 14 slides shorter than most of my stuff.
Wow. I mean, you have so much information. You have to write a book or something. You have to do something. I don't know what, but you have to do something.
I don't know if there's enough time. I want to, but I'm kind of like... Imagine it's like, okay, we're finally getting it published, and it's just like, okay, they just did the blackout. Great, I just lost my this thing we just had today. I lose that whole thing on my computer or my down. It's just oh gosh.
I know, I understand.
So, that's why I tell
what you're doing.
Sorry.
No, what you're doing is amazing, and you do have videos that you show these little short clips in shorter, right? So for our listeners that want to know more about your work and follow what you're doing on your ongoing projects, where can they find you online?
With Instagram, you can find me with Krollology, like my last name, lore_101. And I highly recommend Rumble over YouTube, but I have both. Mana Daily Podcast. Should be easy to find me. I've done other presentations like this. I do appreciate gracious hosts like yourself willing to hear me out. I understand it's lengthy, but like I state, folks, 10 slides on Instagram isn't enough. If you want to just break these podcasts into like an hour, listen, and then come back or review, it's a whole Bible study. I guarantee you. Bring it to your pastor. Like you have a date night. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. That's amazing. That's great. I mean, you showed up a lot of things and a lot to think about. Thank you so much. And that brings us to an end of another episode of the Sensible Hippie podcast. I want to thank my special guest, Brandon Kroll, for unlocking the deeper meaning behind the symbols that surround us every day. Your insights are not only enlightening but also crucial for those of us seeking to understand the layers behind our cultural landscape. So thank you so much, Brandon. And if you've enjoyed this episode, please consider leaving us a 5-star rating on your favorite podcast platform. It helps us to reach more listeners and keep bringing you content that challenges and inspires. And if you feel moved by our discussions, consider supporting us with a donation. Every contribution helps to continue our journey of discovery and discussions. Remember, in a world that often prefers surface over depth, your willingness to look closer makes all the difference. Keep seeking the hidden and let the truth illuminate your path. Until the next time, stay enlightened, stay curious. Bye.
Down for me, take a sip of paradise. Here below the lights, all the people looking up. Overhead, a billion fires reflecting in my eyes. We got everything we need. I got you and you got me. We can dance until the lights fall down. I feel alive. I got forever in my eyes. This is all I need. Oh, I got everything when you're by my side. Another ultraviolet night. This is all I need. Oh, I got everything. All the stops, runaways with looking up, chasing another sign. Oh, we do it right, soaking up the painted sky. Overhead, a billion fires reflecting